Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Nerdrotic Nooner. My name is Gary Beekler, and I am live in San Francisco, California. How is everybody doing today? Hail, chat. How's it going? We have a lot of things to talk about today because I didn't do a Nooner on Monday, and I have been suffering from the dreaded man cold for the last 3 days, ever since the 6 hour Inquisition we did last Sunday night, which is awesome, and you can find on Harvey's channel. What's up, everybody? I've got my sonic screwdriver with me. We're going to talk about Doctor Who today. We're going to talk about a lot of Disney Schadenfreude. Oh, Schadenfreude. I love talking about Disney Schadenfreude, and there's a lot of it in the news. And while I was going over the stuff I was going to talk about today, it hit me, and I guess I should have known this once Zoe Quinn was hired by Marvel, that she works for Disney. Zoe Quinn is a Disney employee, yet Roseanne Barr can't work for Disney. It's very interesting. I'm not saying that Zoe Quinn should be fired or canceled. I'm sure that will happen to her eventually because I believe in karma. I do. But I think it's very interesting. Don't you? I do. And there are some investigations going into Disney as far as them possibly cooking the books with their parks. We're going to go over a Bounding in the Comics article. And a little later on, because I don't want to kill the crowd as it's starting to roll in, we're going to go over some Rise of Skywalker leaks that somebody was kind enough to send to me. There's so many. I doubt that they're true, but what the hell? I've got some time to fill on this live stream. We've got to find a way to entertain you somehow. So we will read. I've gone over them. It's believable, but it's just as terrible as anything else. So that's why it's believable. Hence the title: Disney Star Wars leaks a dump all over the internet. And we also have a Battlestar Galactica reboot. Now, or is it not a reboot? I'm not sure. I'm very confused by Sam Esmail's tweet, and we'll talk about the showrunner of Mr. Robot taking over Battlestar Galactica. And I guess we could talk about the Princess Bride, and I definitely want to talk about Doctor Who, because we've got finally the truth on why Christopher Eccleston left, and it's really sad. It's really sad that he was going through like this personal thing this whole time. And it really kind of came through in his performance in a good way. I mean, it's terrible to say, but it really did. And I've always said Christopher Eccleston's one season performance as the Doctor was the best single performance of the Doctor, period. I sound like I'm underwater? Ah, shit. Hang on. Check. Oh, hang on. I know what to do. I'm going to put on the media source. One moment. Let's fix this. My settings. Yes, that's why. Now, tell me in the chat, does that sound better? Yes or no? I'm waiting for you. Does that sound better? Yes. Okay, good. Good. Sorry about that, folks. Let's turn this off. I had my mic plugged into like a router thing, and I guess it just doesn't work with this damn PC. All right, so hopefully we don't lose a huge crowd because of that. That's a crappy way to start. God, I hate, I want to use StreamYard, and I got a new camera to be my streaming camera because the 4K recording camera, after all this time, I figured out doesn't really work well with streaming services. So I have to put a bunch of plugins, and it would just be easier to buy this. So I bought a cheap little camera for streaming, but I didn't have time to set it up today. So
Uh, everything. It's okay. It's okay. Uh-oh, that's a bad symbol right there. This is why we can't buy you nice things. That's exactly right. Exactly right. Okay, so where do we start? Let's start with well, we're going to start with Disney Schadenfreude, but we're going to go to bounding into comics, and I want to go into the investigations. Let's do the boring stuff first, shall we? I mean, it's not that boring. It quite excites me because I do believe in karma, and this is certainly Disney karma. Former Louisiana Attorney General Charles Foti launches investigation into accounting fraud allegations against Disney. This is from Spencer Bakuli from Bounding into Comics, which is run by our good friend John F. Trent. Former Louisiana Attorney General Charles Foti has begun an investigation into the allegations brought against Disney by whistleblower Sandra Cuba, a former employee who claims that Disney falsely inflated revenue reports for 18 years. In August of 2019, Sandra Cuba, a former senior financial analyst for Disney, filed multiple reports with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, which described multiple methods used by the Disney employees to exaggerate the employees' revenue, such as claiming full revenue from complimentary golf games and discounted guest promotions and recording revenue from gift cards twice. Once when a customer would purchase a gift card, and again when it was used. Cuba claims that she first reported these issues to management in 2013, but received no response, leading her to escalate the report to a senior executive in 2016, where her complaints were again ignored. Granted, the escalated report warranted a single communication from Disney's corporate audit group before communication abruptly ended. After being ignored again, Cuba brought her concerns directly to the SEC in August of 2017 and was fired from Disney a month later. On September 9th, less than a month after Cuba's reports were received by the SEC, former Attorney General of Louisiana, Charles F. Foti Jr. of the law firm Kahn is in a law firm. Swick and Foti announced that he would be initiating an investigation into whether Disney's officers and or directors breached their fiduciary duties to Disney Disney shareholders or otherwise violated state or federal laws. In August 2019, news media sources reported that former Walt Disney Company senior financial analyst has filed a series of whistleblower tips in which the Securities and Exchange Commissions against the company alleged that its employees had utilized a variety of schemes to systematically overstate revenue by billions of dollars, including 2008 and 2009 revenue possibly being overstated by up to $6 billion. The former employee also charged the company executives were unresponsive to her attempts to report the issue and that she was ultimately fired soon after she contacted the SEC regarding the matter in August 2017. Following the announcement of the investigation, two former Disney employees publicly discussed their alleged experiences with Disney's fraudulent accounting practices. One employee described how one project was a complete disaster and they marked it as profitable. One project. Though the employee notes that this is knowledge regarding the topic is hearsay and that they have zero proof of anything. Another employee has since deleted the relevant tweet from their account, stated that when I asked about certain monies being created that really didn't exist, well, let's just say I never got the answers. Okay, so Disney might be inflating their revenue at the parks. I mean, sure. I've always kind of wondered how the parks can be the most profitable thing because they are the most expensive thing. I mean, and I've said it in my video, which certainly got suppressed. There is no doubt that that thing got stamped down because it happened to Doomcock as well. We both did videos on the subject, and it was way below my average. Maybe this stuff bores people. I have to consider that. I'll always consider that. But people really love Disney Schadenfreude, and I do too. And I think it was very curious that that was one of my lowest performing videos. Now, when it comes to Disney, again, cooking the books, man, the liability insurance on that place must be astronomical. And anytime somebody, I mean, they're probably constantly being sued. There's injuries. I mean, I rode the Matterhorn, and I'm old. Okay, so like that thing was herky jerky on my back. But again, I'm old, and I probably shouldn't have gone on the thing, but I did because I had to do a Matterhorn video with Jeremy, and yeah, it was crazy. So how that part can be the most profitable thing from Disney has always been a head scratcher to me. But you know, what do I know? I don't know the parks that well. There's other channels that do the park thing. I mean, honestly, it doesn't interest me that much. I like going to their parks. They're okay. But Galaxy's Edge is nothing short of a disaster for them. And we know why. And this is what I really want to talk about is the general sentiment towards Disney right now. And the one thing Disney is completely ignoring on why people have soured on Disney. There are always multiple reasons for everything when it's something this big. So their stuff is getting too expensive. Their entertainment's gotten homogenous. It's filled with agenda. And quite frankly, a lot of it's gotten boring. Forget the agenda part. I mean, like, the new Star Wars trilogy is bland. I mean, it's really bland. I think that's equally as bad as being filled with agenda. But Disney associates itself, signs off on, and fully supports a lot of their employees attacking fans and being hyper political. My God, look at some of these people's Twitter feeds. I go there for investigation when I'm doing a video, and I generally don't like to call out people. I like to call out a company. I'll make an exception for people like Zoe Quinn or Alex Kurtzman, but I generally kind of like to lay off people. Because they are just cogs in the machine. But when so many employees are being so hyper political and it's just orange man, whether you like them or not, there's a point where it's like enough, and it's just through time it wears people down. People don't want to support things where they feel like they're not welcome, and quite frankly, if you are a supporter of the president, I have no idea why you would give Disney a penny. I really don't, because they don't want you around. They've made it very clear when they hire people like Zoe Quinn as a middle finger to Comicsgate. I mean, that's what that hire was. And, you know, not to be out, Marvel did it because they didn't want to be outdone by DC, who were the first to do it. They hired her at Vertigo. It was a political statement hire. It wasn't based on her popularity. It was based on the controversy, as Comics Division brought up, and what she represents. And it's really not about her. It's about what she represents. And if Disney is signing off on, the family-friendly Disney is signing off on this stuff, they fired Roseanne, didn't let her back. They fired James Gunn, let him back. And I don't think James Gunn should have been fired. And I don't think Roseanne should have been fired. And, you know, Zoe Quinn, that's up to the company. I personally wouldn't hire somebody like that. But you know what? In the past, I have. But I didn't know what I was getting into until a week later. And then that person was shown the door. You might have heard this person's name. I almost hate to bring it up because your boy Zach has talked about her. But it's a young lady named Susan Auger. We'll just leave it at that. So... yeah, I like, again, I don't want to cancel Zoe Quinn. This is not what it's about. It's about the hypocrisy of Disney, the family-friendly Disney. And they brought this upon themselves. You know, if Rianne Johnson listen, Kathleen Kennedy said what she said, and I think some of it was taken a little bit out of context and some of it was not. Especially when she said essentially she doesn't owe the male fans anything. That's what she meant. You can parse words on that one, but that's what she meant. And it's obvious with what we get in the finished product. But hiring Zoe Quinn, again, forget Zoe Quinn, hiring Zoe Quinn and putting her on a book called Deathbringer. You had to know what you're doing, DC. So, and Marvel still employs her as well. What she's writing, a Patsy Walker Hellcat story. God, I used to really love Hellcat. That was like one of my favorite characters when she used to be in the Defenders. I liked Hellcat back in the day, the 1970s one. But Jesus Christ. And this just goes on. And, this giant overcorrection in Hollywood, and it's this, it's what I did my last video about. It's just this reciprocal thing. It's the Access Media has used what last power they had over the major corporations, which was to call them out constantly on, diversity and inclusivity. Basically saying, well, if you're not hiring enough people, you're essentially, you're an ist or a phobe unless you hire some more people. And that's the last power they have because they've become such shills. So now the franchises have used that to their advantage because they're smart business people and they get the free advertising. And that, when you're hiring Zoe Quinn to get clicks for whatever, Hellcat's not going to sell. She's not going to add a single sale to Hellcat. The people who like Zoe Quinn don't read comics or buy them. Maybe a couple of them will buy the comic and never crack it open. Maybe. But I'm guessing it'll be in the tens of thousands for sales, and that's to comic shops, to actual people. Probably not. By the way, happy New Comics Day. Happy Hump Day. I do not miss staying up all night on Tuesday putting subscriber books away. That was the worst part of the job because I have like raging ADHD, so I always read the books, and a job that normally takes 2 hours took me like 4 or 5, 6. But let's get to what you're saying. Like that was on my brain. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's a Disney employee. And this is where like things hit rock bottom. I recorded an entire video on Zoe Quinn. I'm going to put it on Patreon. I'm not putting it out public because I kind of said what I needed to say in the Friday Night Tights live stream, which can be found on the Nerdrotic live channel. So if you want to hear what I said, and quite frankly, the other guys there said better stuff than I did. But I'll put the video on my Patreon, and I was just, it was a rare rant. I was just done. I could not believe they did that. I'm like, forget her. In the video, yes, the thumbnail had her on it and everything, but it wasn't about her. It's like, it's the same thing what I said to Marvel in my last video. I was like, what are you doing? What the F are you doing? If I still owned a comic shop, I'd be so freaking pissed. I wouldn't put that comic on my shelf. And I would have, that at this point, I probably would have sold the store. If I was still going good, I probably would have sold the store out of complete frustration. And it's frustrating just watching it from afar now, and I'm not connected to it. And thank God I don't have to pay my bills based on, decisions made by Tom Brevoort or Buvass or whatever his name is. And listen, I worked 10 years. I don't know how to say his last name, and I don't care. Or Axel Alonso. I had to work with Joe Quesada, and that was bad enough. And, I miss Paul Levitz, the days of Paul Levitz. I really do. I've never been a fan of Dan Didio, but he was never as bad as Marvel. At least DC tried, with retailers. But, my God, if I was doing it now, I'd be pissed all the time. You know what? You don't make enough money retailing comics to be pissed all the time. Not at all. So, Zoe Quinn does still exist, unfortunately, Nassim. I would like her to go off quietly and live a quiet life. I don't want anything bad to happen to her. I don't want, like life. I forgetting the character's name, but in Harold and Kumar, the guy who said the universe tends to unfold as it should. I totally agree with that. It just takes time sometimes. Justice is slow sometimes. But greetings, everybody. What's up, Maverick and Just Some Panda and old dad, and Derek McManus, Mark Lazurth, Kronos. What's up, Kronos? Captain Spire, Mark the Cyborg, Trinoculus P, Ensign Ricky, Nassim Shanbur. Sorry, Nassim, if I screwed that up. Greetings. Avenger 2, Dr. Meatball. What's up? Rom Hack Stash Box. Is that like Rom the Space Knight? A man is no one. A man is no one. A girl is a Mary Sue. Keith Rotzer and Miguel Angel Corjallo. What I hate the most is Chelsea Quinn and Zoe Quinn had titles in an event in DC Comics. First time not buying the event complete. Yeah, it's a popular event too. It's the Batman Who Laughs. And yeah, she's doing like the Wonder Woman version of that. Or no, Donna Troy, my bad. So, disgraceful. It's disgraceful. What's up, Bounding into Comics? Look at that, man. Yeah, I'd be out of business, bro. Look at, there's there's Bounding into Comics. Everybody, please support Bounding into Comics and Bleeding Fool and Cosmic Book News. Those are 3 sites that really know how to have fun. They have fun with their articles. They're not full of agenda. They take on the stuff that nobody else will. They're essentially the YouTubers of the media. They are not the access media. They are the media. And John F. Trent is a friend, a trusted friend. And yeah, can't wait to see you in New York, man. Can't wait to see you in New York. And yes, I'm going to the New York Comic Con. Be hanging out with Jeremy, and I don't know if I'll be. I mean, he didn't offer to drive me around. Good, but I know Cecil will be driving around New York. Maybe Cecil and I can go to a meeting. I'm just kidding, Cecil, man. I'm sure he's fine. I love Cecil. Cecil is love. He was on fire. The High Council last night was hilarious. Hilarious. I don't know if Jeff kept it up or not, but it was funny. It was. All right. Let's get to a couple super chats here, but we're going to be jumping in and out. This is about as close to drunk as I'll ever get. I'm a little woozy from the man cold. So, but we're going to do this. Psycho Dwarf 9, $2. Listening to you at work, setting up for 300. Psycho Dwarf is a caterer, 300. Oh man, that sounds like a lot of work. Something I really wouldn't be into right now. But thank you for the $2, Psycho Dwarf. I hope you have a great day at work. Is it the 300? Are they eating like meat off the bone? Paola RL, what's up, Paola? How are you? Greetings over there in the UK. For $4.99. Hi, Gary. Proud winner of Swag Bag here. Oh, right on. Look forward to receiving it. Greetings to Mrs. Nerdrotic. She's awesome. She is. She is brilliant. She has come up with all these great ideas, and really the channel is still rolling because of her. I'm getting caught up because of her. So, and you know, she does kind of run her own business too. So, you know, that's a strong whammon right there. That's a powerful whammon. That's my strong female lead. That's what she is. Thank you, Paola. I appreciate it. Yeah, we got buttons. We're going to have shirts to give away. We're going to have swag to give away in New York. But I'm also going to be in SoCal on the 27th and 28th of this month. So 2 weeks. Not this weekend, but next weekend. There's a Lord of the Rings. They're playing the extended versions, a marathon down there in Santa Ana. So I'm going to that for sure. Yes, I mean, movies that I own, but I'm going to drive 500 miles to watch them in the theater because I haven't seen the extended versions in the theater. So, I'm there. That's the GOAT trilogy. That's it. won't even accept an argument on that. And then, but maybe if anybody's down there and wants to hang out, get some coffee, let me know. I'll let you know on Twitter. Entertainment Hacker for 240 yen. Great thumbnail. Nice. Thank you. Yeah. I found that by accident. I was Googling Jar Jar Abrams and that picture came up. I'm all, oh, I was like the internet gods blessing me. I was like, yes. Larry for $5. Bigger the company, bigger the cooking the books. That is true. I'm an accountant. Hey, right on. I've seen things over the years. Manipulating the numbers is standard procedure. My dad was an accountant, Larry. He was actually Ted Geisel's accountant. That is Dr. Seuss. And after he passed away, he was Audrey Geisel's accountant. And he did a little work prior to his death on The Grinch, the live action Grinch. And yeah, he left the project. He was just doing some side work for Audrey and Ted, and he didn't want to do it because it was, in his words, too shady. My dad was a button up. He was a button up. He was a straight edge. He would not deal with that stuff. The Cobra Viper for $5. Fiverr for the cause. Well, thank you, Cobra Viper. And I will keep fighting. I am not going to be one of those people who dips out, sells out. I'm too old to sell out. You can't sell out, if you haven't sold out. I mean, like, there would have been a time, if somebody would have offered me a lot of money, I probably would have taken it. Hell yeah. But now I'm too old to sell out. I'm very stuck in my ways. So it doesn't mean I won't take a sponsor, though. A sponsored video is coming up. It's going to be about the Orville. It's going to be my Orville video. I've been working on it for a while. I actually lost it and I had to redo a bunch of it, but yeah. Sir Ruin of House Roundhead for $5. I hope I'm not overwhelming you with too many celebs at the New York Comic Con. I sent you a recent email about my photo shoot with Tom Hiddleston. Oh, cool. No, Sir Ruin. I can't wait to meet you, man. I cannot wait to meet you. It's going to be fun. That's the best part about going to these cons, is just hanging out with the Fandom Menace, hanging out with the guys and the gals. That's it. We'll go get some coffee, or if you guys want to go get some drinks, I can. Well, you don't need a designated driver in New York, do you? But yeah, we can Uber around, whatever. I mean, I don't even need to go to the show that much, to be honest with you. I don't know how the Media Pass thing works. I've never done it, so I'm going to go there, and I've been invited to some things. I'd rather hang out with you guys. I don't want to see any of that crap. Raging Patty. It's a patty. For 20 pounds. Gaz, I've just seen that I'm a swag winner now as well. A big thanks to you and the missus. You are welcome. And the Mrs. Nerdrotic, thank you for the 20 pounds. Mrs. Nerdrotic wanted to point out that beard oil was one of our giveaways, and there was a lot of people in Scotland winning. Coincidence? I don't think so. I love a Raging Patty. I really do. Captain Spire for $10. Help! So YouTube creationist Cat pointed out Marvel comic lady Thor never wanted to be called Thor until he insisted. I thought our gripe was how they promoted that, not that they did it. No, the gripe is how they promoted it outside the comic book. The narrative within the story, Jason Aaron, some people might not agree with this, is a very competent comic book writer. And the story was okay. It wasn't my cup of tea, so I stopped reading it. But Thor is, it sounds like they're backing down already. I mean, Taika Waititi already said that she's just a character in the movie and not the star. But it's funny that they had to clarify it. But it's Marvel. It's what Marvel's doing outside of the narrative, Captain Spire. It is their constant pushing of agenda, replacing male characters with female characters superficially, which is inherently sexist. And you guys know my argument on that. And it's just done to virtue signal because they think that can actually make them money. Plus, you got to think about the Oscars so white phenomenon. That really made the Oscars freaked out over that, obviously. And they overcorrected. It's not saying nobody's against inclusivity or diversity. I've said this a million times. We are against the agenda that gets wrapped around in it for some reason, and it becomes a political thing when it doesn't need to. So yeah. It's a bunch of crap, and Marvel's just gonna drive off the cliff. They're gonna. I mean, okay. I mean, if you want to completely ignore us, and the thing is, what I said in my video is like, just ignore the Access Media as much as you ignore us. That's it. Here's some coffee money so you can stay woke. Woke troll for $5. I get what you say there. Oh, my cup is gone. It's empty. I drank it before I started. Alan Massey for $5. Why do they call them comics when most aren't funny or good anymore? Maybe wokies? Maybe. Pamphlets. I would call them pamphlets. Manifesto pamphlets, especially if they're written by Mark Waid. Mark effing Waid. You know what I spent the morning doing? By the way, I don't know if your boy Zach knows who I am, if he watches me. Your boy Zach is like one of the inspirations for the channel. I've had many inspirations, but it was actually, the 3 channels I was listening to when I first jumped off on YouTube were Midnight's Edge, your boy Zach, and World Class Bullshitters. And then it would be just random UFO stuff. So I spent the morning listening to your boy Zach videos because guess what? I got unsubscribed. Bell was off. Subscribe was off. I've been subscribed to him for 2 years, 2.5 years. And he was talking about the Zoe Quinn issue as well. And I was interested to hear what he said because I think her hire has everything that was directly involves him and EVS and just some guy and Comics Division and Englentine and Doug Ernst and everybody involved in the Comicsgate movement over time. And I think it was a direct result of that. So it was very interesting to hear his take. Go check out his videos. He did 2 of them in the last 24 to 48 hours that were very good. Basically, calling SJWs anti-customers, because I think that's a great term for it. And I totally agree with. I was watching a little bit of EVS's car stream today, and it's very interesting how this thing has evolved, and how the Phantom Menace is taking things, and I really love what the Phantom Menace is doing right now, which is not what's the best way? I'll say on my Twitter that I am a proud member of the Phantom Menace, but I am not Phantom Menace. Phantom Menace is a very loose movement, a collection of individuals united in the principle of respecting the fan. But the minute we become organized, what they can do is they can put us off into a corner. We need to stay. It's kind of like guerrilla warfare. We need to be able to like blend into the background, kind of dip in, dip out. Also, that's not what my entire channel's about either. I will talk about Game of Thrones and I will cover The Expanse when it comes out. And I'm going to talk about things that aren't Phantom Menace all the time. And, so it's good not to be definable. I guess that's the best term for it. And that will keep it going much longer because, the question there's always going to be Star Wars after Rise of Skywalker, but you always want to ask what's next, but you also don't want to future trip too much as a movement. You don't want to what's our plan? Well, the plan is to never have one. Take it day by day. God, there was a video. There's been a couple of videos made about the Phantom Menace, and I want to respond so much, but it's best not to. It's just best not to. I'll just say that, you can call anything you enjoy porn. I'll just say that. Ship porn. I've talked about ship porn. One of my favorite things is watching giant spaceships move slowly through space. I love it. It's one of my favorite things. It is. Right. Let's get, what's up, Bear Nerd Front? I've always been, I'll always leave Bounding into Comics link in my info section in my videos. Yes. I've always been, I believed that, and I don't think it's true. I don't put outside links of YouTube in the description. Oh, you want to know why? Because I listened to Alex Becker. Alex Becker was the guy who said, don't put links out to outside sources in your description. And I probably shouldn't have listened to him considering the traction his channel's getting now. Maybe I should put those in. You know what? I will from now on. You know, because I used to like Alex Becker. I mean, I don't watch his stuff anymore because he doesn't talk about, Star Wars. I'm not into, pyramid schemes or any, or I'm sorry, financial planning. Because I personally, I'm very happy being a thousandaire, and buying secondhand furniture and buying used cars, because I'd rather buy action figures. Princess Bride reboot is now the most unpopular decision of the year, says fourth drawer down. It's dumb. They need to really, for one, no. The worst decision of the year is calling your streaming service Peacock. So the Peacock is streaming. You're going to rock out with your Peacock out. Okay. The streaming services from the legacy networks are going to fail miserably. And you will see them somehow. You know what? I'm going to call this right now. Tom, if you're out there, Andre, I want to do a live stream. We're going to bracket the streaming wars, kind of like the NCAA tournament. Let's bracket the streaming wars and let's pick who wins. And it's going to be 4, right? I think we can all decide it's going to be 4. So we can make brackets. We can get everybody involved, and we can do the streaming war brackets. I think it's time because there's way too damn many anyway. So yeah, it's the Peacock network streaming. I don't get that. Darth Gorebag. Oh, right. It was the Extended Fellowship and Two Towers and Return of the King released. I remember now. Yeah, it's going to be at a theater in Santa Ana called Frida. I don't know if it's named after Frida Kahlo, but it's on the 28th. It starts at 11:30 a.m. There's 2 admissions. I'm going to be there. Oh, yes. Not missing it. But I have another thing I got to do down there, which I can't talk about just yet, but I will because it's awesome. Let me just say that there are good people in Hollywood. I mean, hashtag not all, but Tom Constantino, one of the producers of the Orville, is he's there for the fan. He is a 100% backer of the fan, and that's why we love him. What's up, Tom? I call it the cock pee just to piss them off. Pun intended. Yes. It's dumb. So, Tom, are you down with doing brackets for the streaming wars? I think we should do it. Destiny Captain for $4.99. Any chance we'll see any mailbag today? Yes, we're going to see. I'm going to read a couple of letters that are over there. Yeah. That'll be towards the end of the stream, Destiny Captain, for sure. Thank you for the $4.99. Andre Georgiou for $1.90. No relation to Emperor Georgiou. Star Trek Discovery and Star Wars. Ultra feminism bore. Absolutely. See, they are prime examples, that and Doctor Who, of, all right, we're going to make it female-centric. All right, fine. Make it female-centric and then make a good story. But they couldn't stop there. They had to make everything female-centric political, and a political brand of feminism that turns off your male audience. And those 3 franchises have strong fan bases. So you know how bad you have to be to alienate as many people as they have? So it will just get worse because people will eventually get tired of it. Plus, they cease being what they were before. And what you keep taking out of, what keeps getting taken out of the equation here is masculinity is considered toxic. Toxic masculinity to Hollywood and to the betas and to the NPCs out there is just masculinity. You are you are being sexist because we're born with testosterone. Sorry, actually, I'm not, but we're born with it. And if some of us have a little more than others, there's really not much we can do about it except for pretend and drink soy. And then what happens is it comes out other ways and you become a freaky little beta zoid or whatever, beta boy. And yeah, it just comes out in so many bad ways. So judging us and generalizing over a chemical we are born with is ridiculous, but it is a narrative that they're running. And my God, they mentioned it in Doctor Who. Clara mentioned it twice. Dave Cullen pointed it out in one of his great videos. And that's what really started turning me off to Doctor Who. The minute it was when it was the Girl Who Lived episode with Maisie Williams. And she talked about, all the testosterone in the room. How do you live with it? Yeah. Well, every day I live with it. Great. I sleep like a baby. Yeah. But it is. And Andre, Alex Kurtzman said Star Trek is a female-centric show. Those were his words. Half Moon 999. Hi, Gary. I really appreciate your work. As a lifetime Star Wars fan, I refuse to see any future Disney Star Wars projects. I have no interest in a timeline that includes episode 7 and episode 8. And we will get to the leak in a little bit. We're going to get to the leak in a little bit. I was going back and forth on this one, but I figure if I give you guys plenty of warning, I don't want to alienate, or not alienate, I just don't want to spoil any, there are people who are actually interested in the movie. I don't judge you for that. And I don't want to spoil any of the film for you. So I will warn you when that time comes. That it's not yet, though. We're gonna chit chat for a little while here. But I don't either. It's not in my headcanon, especially, well, knowing what we know, that now they're gonna say was actually Rey, or Rey is actually the chosen one. It's such a JJ tagged on thing to do. I will tell you this: don't be surprised if Rise of Skywalker looks a lot like homogenized episodes of Alias. Captain Jethro for $9.99. Thank you very much. And Half Moon, thank you for the $9.99 super chat. I greatly appreciate it. Hail Gary and the fandom. It's sad that there is so much animosity when it comes to a political viewpoint, but it's a tactic. America and free speech is greater than any political ideology. Kapla. Could not agree more. Free speech is a fundamental right in this country that they are trying to take away. Who's the they? I don't really care. Whoever the they are that are trying to take away free speech is no friend of ours. No friend of ours. Hail, Gary. Just getting here. Did I miss the best stream ever? Says JPRPH1 for $4.99. Well, it had a bit of a rough start because my mic was plugged in wrong. But I think I've rallied, but you will be the judge of that. But I will always say yes, you missed the greatest stream ever. No, you're fine. You're good. Thank you for the $4.99. It's good to see you here. Loquacious Primate for $5. Hey, Gary. Looking forward to meeting up in New York. Oh, that's awesome. You're going to be there? That is good. That is very good. I'm sure you're hooked up with a place to stay, but if not, I can put you up and the missus up on Long Island. Well, I am, but you never know. You never know. I have no idea. I've been to New York, but not in a decade and a half. And I was with my, it was more than a decade and a half. It was 2 decades ago because I was with my parents. So, yeah, this will be like, honestly, yeah, this will be the first time I've gone there like on my own, without family, no Mrs. Nerdrotic or anything. It's just me. Zabe for $5. Consider that if you take the media passes and you go to special events, you can report to us where we can live vicariously through you. Well, if I can get into the Star Trek stuff, oh yeah, you betcha. You betcha I'm going to try to get into that. I don't know if there's, I don't know. I don't know how to do it. I'll figure it out. I'll ask questions. You know what? John F. Trent can help me. I bet you he can help me. This is a good question. Hell Rats 96 for $2. By the way, Zabe, thank you for the $5. Sometimes, if I miss anything, do not be afraid to point it out. Again, raging ADHD, and I don't want to. If I do, I don't mean to. But occasionally I do. Hell Rats 96 for $2. Will you be wearing your Anas shirt at New York Comic Con? Yes. And we are going to have some available so other people can wear them. I need to call the Popcast guys, but since I'm going to SoCal in a couple weeks, we can get this all arranged. Rhino4563 for $5. Can't wait for New York Comic Con, Gary. Can't wait to meet you. And I can't wait to meet you. That is the reason I'm going. F Star Trek and F everybody. I want to see the Phantom Menace. I want to see the faces of the Phantom Menace. I won't pay for TV license here in the UK, but I will pay for TV I like. So here's a $5. Love your show, man. Well, Gary Brunton for £5. Cheers. Cheers. Thank you for the $5. And yes, support independent creators who we are just trying to, I don't know, bring some sanity in the world. Our brand. I don't consider it porn. I hope people aren't watching me and considering it porn, but if you are, I don't judge. I really don't. I really don't. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, that somebody made a video. The typical, I'll say this. Every single damn time another YouTuber makes a video about another YouTuber, it's never really about the subject that's in the title. It's never really, because they always start out like, I'm a fan. I never watch these guys, but I know everything about them. But it's about when a certain group of YouTubers pass another one up, or the YouTubers losing traction in the channel. I always say, and this is advice for myself too, look inward. Always look inward. Don't project. Don't react. They insulted Mahler. How could you insult Mahler? Well, he did it poorly too. He insulted EFAP by calling it NoFap. Well, if you're NoFapping, that means you're either asexual or you're sexually satisfied. He probably meant to say like always fap, which again, I mean that's not bad, but that was his insult to Mahler. To Mahler, why would you insult Mahler? We love Mahler. Thank you, Gary. And by the way, proper spelling of your name: 1 R. 1 R. Otherwise, it's Gary. Deflick Maestro for £5. Yeah, F the TV license. Love you, Gary. Right on. F the TV license. We do need to discuss some Doctor Who. It's a very serious subject, so we're going to save that till later. If you always thought it was weird why Christopher Eccleston left after a year, he finally told us why. And it's really sad. It's really sad. I like Christopher Eccleston, so I want him to be okay, but it really sucks that he didn't come back for the 50th. I hope they bring him back later. They can always I think they should bring him back for something. Lily Mack for $10. You know what? Big Finish, man. Bring in Chris for Big Finish. Lily Mack for $10. Thank you. Nothing to say, but thank you very much, Lily. It's nice to see you here. Welcome. Captain Plank for Australian $2. Any word on Love and Thunder? Thor is still Thor. Thor is still Thor, according to Taika Waititi. And Jane Foster it looks like what's going to happen is, this is just a theory that I agree with. I'm not saying this is a fact. I no insiders, none of that stuff. This is just a theory that when Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness comes out, it's going to basically reset the Marvel Universe, and she might be a Thor from another universe, possibly. Which would, it's fine, but the fact that you have to come out and clarify, the reason they had to come out and clarify it is because people just assumed she was taking over, because they're doing it in everything. They're absolutely doing it in everything. They're going to do a female Batman Beyond now. Nicholas Horton for £5. Some MCU news. Rumor to make Scarlet Witch into a villain sometime during Doctor Strange sequel or after. And possibly lead into what? No More Mutants or Avengers. I bet you they eventually do Avengers versus X-Men. That was right at the beginning of the Disney run when they took over Marvel. It was the beginning of Axel Alonso's run. It was right before I sold my store because it led into Marvel Now. It was a successful event as far as this is a great example. Avengers versus X-Men was a very successful event. It sold a lot of comic books and people frickin' hated it at the end. Lily Mack, thank you for the $2. I appreciate it. Hi, Lily. You could say something. You could say hello. Paola RL. It's good to see you again. $2.99. Watching Rambo Last Blood tomorrow. Am I toxic too? Yes, but in all the best ways. In all the best ways. You know what? It's good to be a little toxic. You don't want to be soft. You don't. It's a hard world. I was watching the Quarterings video on the Brad Pitt movie, which is supposed to be a study of toxic masculinity, blah, blah, blah. And dude, this is like an argument that people had in the 80s when it was first okay for men to be sensitive. Yeah, this is like old effing news. Yeah, men can show their feelings, but you know what? You don't want to be crying all the time either. You do have to be tough because it's a mean effing world. And you don't want to show your weaknesses all the time. You actually don't. You don't want to be vulnerable around people you don't trust. It's good to, be open and be honest with your feelings, but you don't have to share them with everybody. And you know what? I can't believe I'm saying this. Everybody's different. Everybody has different levels of toughness based on their life experience. So, you got to suck it up once in a while. Trust me. I'm not teaching my kids that, just show your feelings all the time. And, everybody will treat you fairly. If you're open and honest and show your feelings and expose your, no. Human beings will still take advantage of weaknesses, take advantage of vulnerability. Don't be a sucker, Be confident, be happy. And talk to people. It's good to talk to people when things are bothering you, of course. But not all the time. You know what? Don't share it on social media. That's for sure. Ever. If it's a personal problem, talk to a friend quietly. Or privately, I mean. Cracklin for $4.99. What's up, man? Gary enjoys 70% of this super chat. Rey is the secret love child of Luke and Leia. Explains why she's has no personality. Well, yeah, I think it would. So again, Alias episode. As you all know, if any of you watched Alias, Sydney Bristow's lineage was changing constantly. She had half sisters. She stayed with Sloane. I'm barely remembering like what the situation was with her dad. She didn't know he was her dad, or like he was gone or something like that. And she stayed with Sloane for a little while. And yeah, it was a hot mess at the end. That's what this is going to be. If you want to see how J.J. Abrams finishes something, well, if you want to sit through Alias, which, yeah, it's not good. Alias had the dumbest ending. John Murdoch for $10. Thank you very much. And no comment, but thank you. I appreciate it. Modalicious for $2. And Jack, you could say something in the chat. You don't have to re-super chat. If you want to say something, I will read it. Thank you, John. I'm sorry. Modalicious for $2. Any idea why there is no Disney Star Wars video games? Because there's no market for it. If there was a market for something, believe me, they would be making it. There's no grad conspiracy. There's no Star Trek Discovery toys because nobody would effing buy them. There's no Star Wars video games. For one, I think Disney is really soured on the video game business, and there's no market for it, which, I think it says a lot. If there is very few things out there that people want that they don't make. Now there are some stuff. There's some stuff like Babylon 5 that's wrapped up in rights issues that people want, but they'll never get because it's wrapped up in rights issues. But generally, Star Trek. What effed up Star Trek? Bad robot. What effed up Star Wars? Bad robot. Why? Because of these weird licensing deals, because JJ wants to control everything. His takeover of Hollywood is almost complete, and the guy has done nothing. He's made some average movies at best. At best. And listen, an average Mission Impossible movie that to this day I cannot tell the difference between 3 and 4. And a Star Trek 2009 movie that a lot of people liked. That I liked at first, but what it brought us is terrible. And it's, yeah. And Lord of the Rings has bad robot people involved, and it makes me sad. It does. Lady Mist for $10. They are wasting time and good stories with all removing of male into female. Just create new characters that are female and leave the male ones male. Yes. So we don't want there to be less female characters. We want the return to we want equality. And the answer is, well, it wasn't equal for so long. Something you, the fan, and I had nothing to do with. So they're overcorrecting something they did or they perceived, which, times were just different. Things evolve, things change. I understand that. But what you're doing is you're making masculine females. It is women acting like men. So I think there's a very small audience that probably likes that, and it hasn't really succeeded. Where the female lead has succeeded is when you've had a genuine female character. The reason there was this big overcorrection in comics that about 2014, if you guys remember, there was a big push that women are the new customers of comics. We got to start making more comic books for women because we have this data. We have this poll came out that said about half of the people interested in comics were women. Well, this poll was a Facebook poll. And the question was, I'm paraphrasing here. Are you interested in comics? Not are you buying them regularly? Are you interested in comics, which can be taken a lot of ways. And in this Facebook poll, it was like 40% of women said yes. So the comic industry decided to run with this, and because they have been trying to get the new fan, they have been trying to shed the old comic fan forever. I called it chasing the dragon of the new fan. The comic book industry was chasing that dragon forever instead of just being itself. Instead of just, you've got this hardcore set of fans. It's not growing that much. Why don't you just sell like hell to them, and they, through word of mouth, will make new fans. Don't do it on, because comic book industry, you haven't been very good at creating new fans. But no, they ran with this, and a lot of YouTubers made videos on this. And this is what's led to what we have today in entertainment. This whole freaking thing in genre was from a bad Facebook poll. Facebook poll that really, the data on it was so horribly wrong in every way. Poll comic shop owners. Ask them. Everybody, well, most of them have records on how many female subscribers they have. If you polled a third of the comic shop owners, and just generalize, they didn't have to give real numbers, they would have found out that it's like 15% of women who go and purchase comic books on, we'll just say, a monthly basis. Forget weekly, on a monthly basis. To be considered like a hardcore comic book fan, in my opinion, you need to be buying and reading comics once a month. A good stack. Couple of trades, say 5 to 10 comics. And that's and I'm aiming high on that one, 15 to 18%. And I tried when I got to my store, it was one female. But they are interested in comic book heroes. They're interested in pop vinyls. They're interested in the movies. And I know it's different for the films, but the comic book industry is the proving ground, and it has failed miserably. And we've said it over and over again, and it will have the exact same results in film, because your foundation of storytelling is masculine. It is big, buff superheroes kicking ass and then being in a soap opera. So comic books are soap operas. where there's lots of violence. And that's what us dudes liked. That's what we grew up on, decades. And then you just throw that away. Why was the MCU so popular for so long, and why were they the only movies of any kind of like consistent success in Hollywood over the recent years? It's because they were masculine, because they are what they were. They were what they sold you. Now they're trying to hoodwink you. With Iron Fist season 2, they got you in like, hey, we're gonna put Iron Fist mask on, and we're gonna bring in. Then you find out it's a show about Colleen Wing, and you're like, what the was that? Westworld season 1 was damn near a perfect season of television. I mean, if you just look at it as one season as like a season-long Twilight Zone, it's perfect. Second season, totally hoodwinked you. Brought you in, and all the women became Mary Sues and godlike, and all the men were like literally blowing their heads off at the end. It's so, oh God. That was very, that was indicative of what the audience wanted to do, what Teddy did at the end of Westworld season 2. And then they started swapping all the characters out, and then Doctor Who got caught up on this, and then Star Trek, like, I don't know why they did what they did. They're like, we're going to have a black captain, a black female captain. We're like, yeah, okay, it's Star Trek. Yeah, totally expected that. Sure. But wait, we're going to get rid of all the white dudes. So they did that for all the straight white guys. They did that for the first season. And what did they need to save them in the second season? Couple of white guys had to come in. And believe me, that bothered the shit out of them. So they tried to cuck out, for lack of a better word, Captain Pike. And then the only thing people wanted out of that was a Captain Pike and Spock series. That's all they heard. And I bet you it drove them nuts. But what else did they have to do? They had to get the old white guy to come in and save the franchise. So you're going to have, listen, with genre, there's a certain, it's got a certain audience, 18 to 49s. Male and females, women like to see guys too. And again, I don't want a sausage fest. I don't want to watch a sausage fest of anything. I don't. And it's just the overcorrection that Hollywood is starting to recognize. I played some audio at the end of my Friday. Please watch the Friday Night Tights podcast. It's on Nerdrotic Live. It's the last 2 weeks have been great. So I finally followed through on this idea that Penn Farm Girl gave me to bring in guests, and it took me a while to get it together, but the last 2 weeks have been just lots of fun. It's a fun show. Towards the end, I played some audio from Freddie Prinze Jr. Now, we don't want to forget Freddie Prinze Jr. attacked our friend Jeremy on Twitter about a year ago, but it looks like, well, he's come around. And you're going to start seeing a lot of people coming around because of David Chappelle. David Chappelle made it safe to come around. And what did I hear in the live stream last Friday? Jim Jeffries, whatever that dickhead's name, who, suckered your boy Zach into that interview at Comic-Con last year. All of a sudden, he's complaining about PC culture now. Screw that guy as an interloper. But we're starting to see other people come around, and, other than Jim Jeffers, we want to praise it. We want to support them, going back to the middle. And that's the thing, the misrepresentation of Comicsgate, the misrepresentation of the Phantom Menace is that we are this right-wing movement. No, Orange Man fans, right-wing people are welcome. We're just not saying they're inhuman or not inhuman, but unhuman. We're not saying, we're saying they're actual people that we want to hang out with in our live streams and stuff and just talk about nerdy stuff. That's it. We don't want to depersonate anybody. We don't want to cancel anybody. We really don't. You know what? The Phantom Menace can have people who like The Last Jedi in it. You want to know why? Because it's not a goddamn membership. There's no gatekeeping. You can you can like The Last Jedi, but not like Doctor Who. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to be, or you just like the people in here. That's it. That's all it takes. There's nobody out there can say you are or aren't Phantom Menace, period. And if they do, well, that's the kind of shit that I don't want to be a part of. So, there. I was on a little rant there. I'm sorry. I apologize. But let's get to Lori Roberts for $5. She said, can't wait to meet you in New York. I can't wait to meet you either, Lori. I didn't realize how many of you guys are going. This is great. It's good to see you, Lori. SPDA242 for 20 Swedish crowns. Image Comics. You don't seem to be a fan. Not anymore. Not anymore. Image Comics was a shining example of what a good comic book company could be. But ever since they moved to Berkeley, no, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of, they've become SJW nonsense as well. Lady Mist, thank you again for the $10. Captain Destiny Captain. I liked him at one time a lot, though. SPDA242, a lot. I'm a huge Todd McFarlane fan. He is Stan Lee 2.0. He had a lot of criticism. He did a lot of crazy things, but I like entrepreneurs that do crazy things. And I love his art. I own every comic he's ever drawn anything in. And I particularly love his Hulk run. I think his Hulk run is woof. Destiny Captain, $4.99. Been going through the Nerdrotic archive. Really enjoy. Oh boy, your optimism is delightful. I saw somebody share my Last Jedi review where I was a beardless boy. A beardless boy. Okay, I have to explain. The reason I shaved my beard is I was going to work for Tesla and I was going for an interview. And I'm old school, and I thought I had to shave my beard. And I get to the interview, and the guy interviewing me has like a giant beard. I'm like, fuck. Brad Lancaster for Canadian $2. Soy Wars versus Soy Trek. Which is worse right now? Star Wars. Star Wars is worse because this is to me. Star Wars to me is the Skywalkers. And with all due respect to the EU people, I don't know much about the EU other than the Dark Horse comics I read. Knights of the Old Republic is badass. I love that stuff from Dark Horse. But it's still Luke, Han, and Leia. And Han Solo was one of my favorite characters in all of anything. And they destroyed him to where he's not my favorite character anymore because of the way he ended. Luke Skywalker, destroyed. And it was an abomination what they did to Luke Skywalker. And it's blasphemy. It's nerd blasphemy. And Rian Johnson did it with a smile. And the more I think about it, I mean, again, books are going to be written on this stuff. And we got the Phantom Menace book being written by the author Stephen Walton, which I will plug in a little bit. Because he really went in there to destroy it. JJ, I mean, I'm not a JJ defender of any kind, but he can't be happy. I mean, I will begrudgingly admit that I didn't like the Phantom Menace, but there were a couple of things initially I was interested in. I was interested in Finn. This was prior to the trailer. I'm like, dude, a freaking stormtrooper like going AWOL. Yes, I want to know. And then they made him a clown, which is, I mean, just want to talk about racist. And Snoke. I was actually interested in Snoke because I like Andy Serkis. So, yeah. I'm wondering if you were open to show where subs send in their ideas to fix the broken franchises. Asked Destiny Captain for $4.99. Gary at nerdrotic.com. That is the best place to get a hold of me. I'm going to be shutting down the Facebook DMs soon because I just can't get to them. So everybody needs to contact me at GaryNerdrotic.com. I would appreciate that. And yeah, please keep it coming. You guys send me great articles. I get inside stuff. I get stuff I can't talk about. Whew. And then, occasionally I get a sponsorship I turn down. Soy Wars versus Soy Trek. But Soy Trek, Brad Lancaster, it's because they haven't destroyed, well, they destroyed Kirk and Generations a little bit, but not, I mean, they could do a lot worse. Believe me, they'll try. Johnny Matrix, this just jumped on me. Oh, there you are. John Matrix, sorry, for $5. Big fan, Gary. You have influenced my content. I love Rode mics and use them as well. Be safe, brother. Well, Johnny Matrix, I'm glad. I keep calling you Johnny. John Matrix. Yes, I use a Rode mic because it's easy. You just plug it in. But I'm going to be going to an XLR connection with the PC because, as you can see at the beginning of this podcast, I have but the mics are great. It's worth the money. It really is worth the money because it's just simple. Nina Fabiano for $10. Aside from Deadpool, Gwenpool, and the Joker, what is your favorite comic book character that knows they're a comic book character? She-Hulk. Back in the day, John Byrne's She-Hulk. Doesn't Howard the Duck know he's a comic book character? Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. Probably Howard the Duck, but I'm not sure. I can't remember. Thank you, Nina. JC Shaggy for $5. Sup, Gary? Marvel is backtracking big time with Thor. They are. Been reading The Boys. You're right. Night and day. Comic much better. The comic is much better. The Boys TV series lightens it up quite a bit. The comic is hardcore, and it really did bother me hearing The Boys for the Time's Up era. It's called The Boys. And it is about one of the most masculine things, which, okay, when I say masculine, women can do this too. I'm not saying this does not exclude women. Masculine can be a state of mind. Revenge is not exclusive to men, believe me. So I think that story was pure and good and hardcore, and it's the reason DC Comics got rid of it. And to his credit, Nick Ferrucci at Dynamite picked it up. And big thumbs up to that guy for that. He is secretly, you know what? I wasn't a fan of his at first, and I became a fan. I thought he was kind of a blowhard, but I was wrong. Well, he is, but I mean, he's like really good at what he does. So, I mean, I never met the man, but I was wrong about him at first because I was kind of like, I don't know if I like this guy, but I definitely like him now. Norwegian Kryptonian for 55 Norwegian crowns. Hi, Gary. Uncle EVS talked about a Comics Gate Con. The fandom must make it happen. Can't believe I'm more excited about Cyberfog than Star Wars. You know what? There would have been a time I couldn't believe it either, but I can now, considering just the difference between how fans are treated. You know, Cyberfrog is an independent project, and you kind of got to see it. The highs and lows of it being created. EVS was extremely transparent about that, and I thought that is to his credit. Honestly, when I give to an Indiegogo, if I get the book, cool. I mean, honestly, my whole mentality on it is I'm donating to this person to help them create this, and you know, if I get it, cool. It's like loaning money. When I loan money, I don't expect it back. I just don't. That's the way it goes. And that way there's no resentments, you know. Sometimes it's hard for people to just ask for money, you know. And it's like, yeah. Cold Fusion Waffles for $10. But Evie, the book looks great. And I am a backer, so I can't wait to get it when I get it. And I'll get it when it's done right. I'd rather it be done right. And you know, this is his first one too. So like the next one will be a little faster and he'll know like what to do. And yeah, you know, we're all new at this. Like same with YouTubing. I'm new at this. I can't get back to every email. It breaks my heart. It sucks. It stresses me out. But there's a point where I'm like, I'm doing the best I can. I don't mean to insult anybody, except for Disney and Alex Kurtzman and, just his work, not him personally, and CBS and, you know, Gary, may the NCR tremble at your name. May the sugar bombs always flow as you conquer the wastelands of doo-doo. Hail, Gary! Gary, sorry if the Fallout gag is getting tiring. Love to you and the chat. It's not getting tiring. It's okay. It never gets tired. People saying thank you does not get tiring for me. It motivates me. Just like the people who, you know, talk shit motivates me. It does. Vexen for $5. Glad Babylon 5 rights are wrapped up. Mean they can't ruin it. Like every other major sci-fi series. Just finished my yearly watch of it. So good. God dang it, I gotta finish watching it. Everybody loves that show. Straczynski is cool. I like Straczynski. I don't like what he did to Spider-Man, but that was a Quesada thing. Drive-by commenter for $5. Maybe in that poll, they forgot some women often employ mirroring tactics and fish for attention. Well, so do men, quite frankly. But yes, that poll was full of shit. And, unfortunately, there's a YouTuber out there who did a great video on it, and he took it down. Nurkish did a great video on it, and he took it down. I wish he would put it back up because I would love to make it an example. But I don't want to tell him what to do. Sir Michael the Tall for $4.99. Big fan, Gary. Alias was 2 seasons of awesome, agreed, followed by meh and pure train wreck. Seasons 4 and 5 were unwatchable. JJ just can't finish. Alias, the final episode, was the first thing I watched, first television I watched on a device. It was on my iPod. Remember iPods? And I was in a traffic jam with Nerdrotic Jr., and he was taking a nap. I was on I-5. The Grapevine was shut down. So I watched the final episode of Alias on like a 2-inch screen, and I almost threw my iPod out the window. iPods. Wow. That was a long time ago. It was, yeah, I actually, but that's what JJ probably likes to think himself like George Lucas. JJ is a good conceiver. I'll give him that. He can conceive a plan pretty well. George Lucas can conceive a plan and lay out an entire plan better than pretty much anybody on the planet, but executing it needs to go to other people who work well with George. George still needs to be involved. JJ is a gnat on meth, so he'll start something and leave. He started Alias, left to Lost, left Lost, went to the movies, left. As soon as he got to Star Trek, I'm like, he's going to leave Star Trek. He left Star Trek. He left Fringe behind. Yeah, that's what he does. For him coming back to finish Star Wars, maybe it was because he was pissed at Ryan. I don't care. Admin Grumpy Bear for $20. Appreciate your analysis and all you do on this channel. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for the $20 and thank you for the compliment. I greatly appreciate it. Orville Nation for $5. Gary, you are so authentic. Your audience appreciates that. Always telling it like it is. Love to watch. Back at you, man. I try to be. Listen, you can't put up a front on YouTube for too long if you live stream for anything longer than an hour. It's really impossible. All right. Wow, we almost got like 2,000 people watching today. That is brilliant. Thank you, everybody. Hey, a lot of you out there haven't subscribed, consider subscribing. If you like what you see, if you don't like it, then you don't have to. It's okay. And liking and sharing the video, it really helps. YouTube has changed the algorithm. That's a real thing. It's affecting a lot of YouTubers. And I know it sucks asking you guys to do more work because subscribing should be enough, but I was just unsubscribed to a channel I've been subscribed to for 2 years. Diversity in Comics, your boy Zach. I've been subscribed to him since the beginning, since before he had 15,000 subs. Yeah, that was turned off. So please check that and please support your favorite YouTuber. I mean, not just me. Please do this to EVS and Jeremy at Geeks and Gamers and Jeff and Jesse Milestone and Anna and my friend Comics Division and Steven Walton Jr. and, Ichi Baka. And yeah, support all these people. By the way, Hail Snowflame. Hail Snowflame. So I put this tweet out. Yeah, he's got his little dollar bill. This was sent to me. I need to make a Snowflame Migo. I really do. But thank you, everybody. And hail Snowflame. Sir Michael the Tall. Big fan, Gary. Alias. Oh, did I read this? Okay. JJ just can't finish. You're right. I read that one. Sorry. Brad Lancaster for Canadian. 2 Canadian pesos. The overt production placement in Fringe. JJ's so lame. He is. And he's the most powerful man in Hollywood. And his wife co-founded Time's Up. And he became the most powerful man in Hollywood. Coincidence? I think not. Mark the Cyborg for $6.99 or 6 Canadian pesos. Almost 7 Canadian pesos. I've been listening to the Heir of the Empire audiobook while I edit. It's infinitely better than episode 7 Schlock. It's chock full of intact Skywalkers. It really is. And that was such a good time for Star Wars. Honestly, the beginning of the EU was, is it the best time for Star Wars? Post the original trilogy, I'll say it's the best time for Star Wars. Were the origins of the EU, when Timothy Zahn came in and Dark Horse came in, that was a great time because it was just pure Star Wars. I don't think that'll ever be repeated. So if you haven't read Heir to the Empire, if you haven't read Dark Empire, I like Shadows of the Empire, and then get into the Dark Horse comic books. They're good. They're so good. I really like Star Wars Tales. There's my favorite Star Wars Tales story. Sorry, I'm going to bore you with this, but my favorite Star Wars Tales story has Indiana Jones, and he's looking for Bigfoot. And he finds Bigfoot, and it's Chewbacca, and he finds a crashed Millennium Falcon and a skeleton of Han Solo. It's like, it was like a little short story. It was so cool. I love it. That's my favorite. By the way, though, see, Jeff from World Class Bullshitters might agree with this. I've always been a bigger Indiana Jones fan. I like Star Wars, but Raiders of the Lost Ark is always either my favorite movie or my second favorite movie. Always. It's a perfect film. It's got everything, absolute everything. It's perfectly masculine, perfectly feminine, perfectly scary, perfectly funny, great action, great stunts, supernatural. It's got everything. It's a period piece that's done well. And when I first heard of the movie, I wanted to see Superman 2, and my friend Doug goes, "We got to see Raiders of the Lost Ark." And I was, grew up a Charger fan. I'm all, Raiders? Fuck the Raiders. He's all, no, it's called Raiders of the Lost Ark. I'm all, what's it about? He's all, it's about some archaeologist named Indiana Jones. It's got Han Solo in it. I'm all, oh, that's cool. Oh, and it's made by Steven Spielberg and George Lucas. I'm all, let's go. And we saw it, and it blew our minds. We were 12 years old, perfect age to see it. It was, I walked out of there feeling like a different person. It was so good. And it stayed in that theater for a calendar year. That shit doesn't happen anymore. The El Camino 8 theaters on El Camino Real in Oceanside, California. Rhino 4563 for $5. Good Lord, Gary. I just read an article about Spider-Man #1. Looks like Jar Jar and his son are destroying another franchise. Yes. We actually need to talk about that. I hope there's enough time in the day to talk about all this stuff. Abru Hall, Canadian $2. Disney is pushing to kill royalties. Your thoughts? Yes. They're trying to get rid of the back end. And yeah, they have been trying to do this for a long time. And I guess Amazon and Netflix have been getting away with this. It's almost like we're returning back to the studio system where you're going to sign on with a studio and do an exclusive, and that's how you're going to get paid. Changes have to be made because of streaming services, and you can't pay people residuals off of people clicking. Well, you can. What's eventually going to have to happen, Tom? Tell me if you disagree with me or not. These streaming services are going to have to come out with their data. They can't hide it forever because once they start getting competitive and eventually they're going to start selling advertising, they're going to have to come out with their data. Like somebody's going to have to show how many times a video has been clicked. And you know what? Again, YouTube doesn't get talked about at all. We are a major competitor to them. We are a major competitor. And they know it. They know it because I've had people tell me they know it. Disney, yeah. So I think it's interesting. The Screen Actors Guild will never let that happen. As a matter of fact, it's been a long, long time since we've had an actors strike. And I think we could have one over this. I think that would, if they try to push this as is, there will be an actors strike. And there's probably a generation of kids who's never even had an actors strike. I mean, they're like, what actors strike? Who would miss that? Well, nobody, honestly. It'd be great for YouTube. I'll be real with you. It was all a dream. It was all a dream. £5. Thank you. Hey, brother. You have I have a soothing voice. Wait. Enjoy your vids. Thanks. Why, thank you. I enjoy your feedback. Little ASMR. King Arcturus for $5. Stop it, Gary. Luke was stunning and brave as he sucked that Mercamels, or I'm sorry, Mercamel, mammillary. I can't. Mercamel mammillary milk. I'm so triggered right now. I'm so triggered. So triggered. Thank you for the $5. Modalicious for $5. If Joker does as well as predicted, DC Warner Brothers has to make a Snowflame spinoff. Snowflame! That's right. He has to be rated R. It has to be set in the early 80s and 70s, and there has to be mountains of cocaine in it. And I bet you it's real. Thank you, Modalicious, for $5. Then we got Dobbinmog for £5. I will watch your Raiders of the Lost Ark and raise you the Fifth Element. I love the Fifth Element. You're not gonna get a complaint out of me. I damn near spent $700 on a custom Lilu and Corbin Dallas. But it was in Australia, and yeah, it's a lot of money. Mrs. Nerdrotic would kill me if I spent that much. But there's no 1/6 scale Lilu or Corbin Dallas, and I want him. All right. Let's get to an article from our friends at Bounding into Comics real quick, and then we'll get back into the chat. Anonymous massage therapist who accused Kevin Spacey of sexual assault dies in the middle of a lawsuit. Interesting. Oh, Ant-Man 3 is not going to happen. I think I called that. So if Ant-Man 3 is not going to happen, how well do you think Black Widow is going to do? Is that a movie that anybody really wants at this point? It should have happened in phase 1 and phase 2. It should have been rated R. It should have been written and directed by Drew Goddard, who pretty much conceived the Daredevil season 1, which was perfect effing television. And she should be killing people. I like ScarJo quite a bit. I think she had to bend the knee to the PC culture, but I think we know how she really thinks. So we dig ScarJo. We want to support ScarJo. She is the anti-Brie. And you know what? Marvel and Disney did her wrong. They did her wrong. So they're making up for it by giving us this obligation movie that nobody wants. Who wants to see it? And it's supposed to be funny. Funny. You know what? I think back to Frank Miller's perfect run in Daredevil that gave us the Punisher we have today, that gave us the Black Widow that we have today, that really saved a character that wouldn't have made it out of the 80s. You got to think, Alan Moore took a blobby character about basically muck and mud and turned it into a groundbreaking comic. Why? Because he's just an effing talented writer. Frank Miller took arguably one of the dumber superheroes and made him into currently my favorite Marvel superhero, Daredevil, because of just being a talented MFer. We need that again. It's so watered down right now. We're losing the good talent. And quite frankly, it's because the good talent's too expensive. You know what's really behind diversity and inclusivity? It saves a lot of money. It saves a lot of money to bring in new people who are inexperienced, make them the showrunner of Miss Marvel, and basically it being a virtue hire. And this person will have no idea what they're doing, and they won't have that much control because Disney has a template now, and they just do this shit on their own. And they can just hire this person, put them in control, and make themselves look great while, the same people are still in charge. And someday, you know what? Hollywood knows this. They know this. And they just pretend not to notice or play the game. But this is a game of optics. But we all know it's bullshit. And the access media lies to you every day when they try to spin this stuff. So keep doing it, access media. Bounding into Comics loves it. I love it. But if one of you, and we're not talking about Bounding into Comics and Cosmic Book News and Bleeding Fool, solid people over there. Actually, one of my prouder things is Bleeding Fool has me down as a writer, which is hilarious, and it's great. But Screen Rant, Movie Web, Forbes, somebody step out of line. Rebel. You like to rebel so much. Fucking rebel. This David Chappelle thing is a big deal, and he just made it safe for you. Somebody grow a figurative sack and rebel and tell the truth, because you can't all think that way. You really can't. So, a Twitch streamer was suspended. Well, look at how old is she? I don't know. I don't think anybody should get suspended. There's a market for that kind of thing, then God bless her. Joaquin Phoenix Joker's. So the Joker thing has really exposed a lot of stuff, and I meant to do a video on it, and I still probably will, but it's going to take a ton of research because I need to look at the similar reviews to that and Captain Marvel and Doctor Who. And because I noticed a lot of Doctor Who were very tepid reviews that they gave positive reviews. And I know it's exposing the obvious, but I like doing that. I enjoy it. It's fun for me. It's fun for me. Here we go. Who is this guy? Who cares? I was looking for the Spider-Man article. Where'd it go? Hang on. Give me just a moment, folks. We'll find it. Was it on Screen Rant? I think it was. Yes. Some major change. There we go. There we go. Bum, 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 bum. We are going to self-produced here, folks. So there we go. Sorry to bring you to the Shilltastic Screen Rant. This is by Andrew Dice. That's funny. I saw what you did there, and he spelled it with a Y. Soy. When Marvel announced a brand new Spider-Man comic written by Jar Jar Abrams' son and his son Henry, fans didn't know what to expect. The master of reboots and mysteries is known for his reboots. The master of reboots and mystery is known for his reboots, but not how much you can rely on but how much can you really reinvent Spider-Man? The answer is a shock, and easily the biggest comic book twist of the year. Now, whether or not existing Spider-Man fans will approve of, accept, or even enjoy the Abrams reimagining of Peter Parker and Mary Jane remains to be seen. But if fans were disappointed with Marvel, but if fans were disappointed that Marvel chose to reveal almost nothing about the new Spider-Man miniseries, only emphasizing the 15 years it took to get Abrams on board, the publisher does have a good reason for it. Just a handful of pages into Spider-Man 1, readers all witness the spoiler of the secrecy as the story is flipped upside down. Here's the spoiler warning, blah, blah, blah. The only real insight in the new Spider-Man story offered Marvel focused is the new villain created is Cadaverous, a hulking, twisted mixture of body horror and cybernetic experimentation. The series artist Sarah Pichelli, co-creator of Ultimate Spider-Man Miles Morales, guaranteed that the book and its villains would be pretty to look at no matter what, but her concept art for Cadaverous made it hard to imagine Peter Parker making a dent, and when Spider-Man 1 opens, its titular hero has taken the worst beating of the two. Like so many other times, Mary Jane rushes to find Peter crushed beneath the pile of rubble, having won a few seconds apiece until Cadaverous tracks him down. And then, okay, well, okay, so they kill Mary Jane. Fuck. I'm just going to stop right there. So this is not taking place in the 616. So I'm guessing. Whoops, my bad. There we go. So they kill Mary Jane right away, and it's the real star is Ben Parker, their son. The meta-narrative of the Spider-Man series told by two generations of Abrams finally clicks into place when the story picks back up following the teenage Ben Parker and his starts his day at Aunt May's house, attends high school, stands up to a bully, and oh boy. Fans can conclude that Ben Parker has no clue about the truth about his mother and father's lives, their marriage, or their tragic circumstances of their death and Peter's role in it. That's going to change in Spider-Man 2 as the issue concludes with Ben stumbling on a shock of evidence of so it's like a what if. I don't care. I don't care about anything this guy writes. And listen, I don't trust anything from any celebrity. I am still waiting for Jon Favreau to fucking finish the Iron Man Fing Fang Foom Viva Las Vegas comic that I liked quite a bit, that I don't believe we've gotten the last 2 issues on. Am I wrong on? Did they finally finish that? Did you guys know that Jon Favreau wrote an Iron Man comic called Iron Man Viva Las Vegas that had great art and Fing Fang Foom, and then he never finished it. And I believe it was 2008 when that book started. It is 11 years later, and we don't have it. So that's not the only thing JJ's screwing up. Are you guys ready? Now, I'm going to preface this. I hate to lose audience, but I did promise I'd read this. So give me just a second. Let's see who's still here. We still got a good crowd. I'll leave it up to, well, yeah, I said I'd do it. So I'm going to give you a fair warning here. I am going to read some Star Wars leaks now. Now, this is from a Reddit post that was shot to me. I saw it actually in a couple places in my private DMs on my Twitter. And I'm going to read this. I don't think it's true. I don't think any of these leaks are true, because I will agree on this. Okay, let me rephrase that. Some of the leaks are true, but I think they've spread a lot of disinformation out there because some of them are true. But there's this notion out there that JJ keeps this really locked down house and spoilers don't get out. I disagree. I read a lot of spoilers. Remember when people cared about Star Trek spoilers? Read a ton of those. Force Awakens, there was a ton of spoilers, and a lot of them ended up being right. A lot of them were wrong too. Let's be real. But yeah, this is going to be the first act, by the way. This is only the first act. It's not the second act or third act. It's the first act. And I won't read everything, but and then we'll talk about Battlestar Galactica. All right. So here we go. Act 1. Again, I'm not going to go past Act 1 because this is all we have. And I'm going to not read every single bit of this because it's really freaking long. But you're going to lose viewers. That's understandable. It's part of life. And I understand. You don't want this movie ruined. I do. I don't care. Again, I don't know if this is true, though. I mean, this is a huge Reddit post. And if this is true, how did this much get out? So Luke is in, and some of the stuff you've heard before. So it starts out with Luke training Leia, and then Leia is pregnant, so she backs out of her training. I'm pretty sure you guys heard that one. Then it goes into the beginning of the film. They're in the jungle. This is a film you see a little bit in the trailer. You see Leia training Rey. Okay, this one I think is true. I think this is what we see Rey doing in the jungle forest in the D23 first look. It appears that Rey has more physical fortitude than she has mental strength. Force planet bathed in red light. Supreme leader Kylo Ren has been aware of a dark power behind his predecessor and former Master Snoke. Kylo has been spending his time as leader of the First Order when the purpose of locating this power. General Hux and Pride have been following Kylo around on his quest and are beginning to get very frustrated with what they see as a fool's errand. They see that this is a waste of the First Order time and resources. When we catch up with the villains of our story, Kylo is leading an assault on a planet with the purpose of finding Darth Vader's Wayfinder device. The device reveals coordinates within the unknown regions, and Kylo is confident that this will reveal the source of Snoke's power. Kylo Ren slaughters his way through the natives and is eventually led to the Oracle, who gives him the Wayfinder. I think we know. I knew that one too. I don't know. Asteroid base. Maybe this is just a summation, but is this the one where we find out about Finn? We pick up with Finn and Poe on the Millennium Falcon, accompanied by a handful of unfamiliar alien characters traveling to an icy asteroid base to meet with the First Order informant. The informant, an alien, is acting as a middleman or woman between a First Order mole and our heroes. The First Order arrives and begins attacking the base. The assault causes forces for our heroes to make a hasty exit by what has described to me as light springing away. So light springing is basically you're jumping into hyperspace without a destination. You're just leaving. They did that, a couple times in Battlestar Galactica? So they explain light springing. The Falcon makes a handful of these springs to throw the First Order off their trail, but the result is they are forced to deal with the consequences of such a risky maneuver. After surviving the dangers of light springing, our heroes plot a course to the secret resistant jungle base, the Unknown Regions Exogol. After obtaining Vader's device, Kylo travels to a place specified by the Wayfinder. It takes him to an unknown regions, to a planet made of black rock. This is where he experiences, this is where he finds Darth Sidious. Darth Sidious claims he is not a clone. Kylo walks between the cube and the ground, and once he reaches the center, he discovers an elevator leading down below the planet's surface. He follows the lift down and finds an old man near death and lying on a bed and being tended by cloaked aides. My sources, so Palpatine, according to this, Palpatine survived the fall. Palpatine survived the fall. And this is why I wanted to read. If Palpatine survives the fall, and again, I don't know if this is true. I really don't. But if Palpatine survives the fall, you just undid the original trilogy. You assholes. You effing assholes. And if this is behind JJ saying F it, then, I mean, listen, I don't like JJ, but I always thought Alex Kurtzman was worse. JJ is much worse. If he undoes the original trilogy, that will be the most unforgivable act in genre film history, in sci-fi history. That would be like Sauron living afterwards. You know, like Frodo went through all that, and then Sauron just got a scratch. He reforms himself 5 years later, to only be defeated by a much superior female hobbit. That is what you're doing here. Vader's sacrifice, Luke's sacrifice. I can't believe Disney's signing off on doing this. And you're going to have shills coming out of this going, oh, it was great. I thought it was a really good idea. Listen, people can lose their credibility on their own, and I'm not going to tell somebody what to do. And if it's genuinely a good movie, I would tell you that. I would be honest with you. If I walk out of it entertaining, going, God damn, freaking JJ did it. Whoa. But narratively speaking, just on a objective level, the Palpatine surviving it all is cheap. It's cheap gimmick that Star Wars fans deserve better than this. You know what? Delay the damn movie for a year. Come up with a better story. If this is all you could come up with, and you know what? You want to blame Rianne. You know what, JJ? Blame yourself. Blame yourself, dude. You started this mess. You too, Kathleen Kennedy. And if you screw this up, well, you know, that's your legacy. That's what I said about Dan and Dave at the end of Game of Thrones. You don't get to choose your legacy. You know, listen, you get your way a lot in Hollywood. Once you reach a certain amount of success, you get your ass permanently kissed till the end of time. But the fans decide what your legacy is, brother. Like it or not, we decide. So we'll see. And you're going to get a lot of protection from the access media. But the access media, quite frankly, is not what they were a couple of years ago when The Last Jedi came out. Because a lot like the mainstream media's credibility going down the tubes in 2016, your credibility went down after The Last Jedi. So, I mean, listen, wait and see is not a very good thing for a YouTuber to say. But I'm pretty convinced that if this is true, I'm very interested. You know what? The most entertaining thing will be the Fandom Menace. I will be rushing home after the movie. And, well, of course, I'll make a video of my own, but I will be watching everybody's video. It's going to be a good night on YouTube. That is going to be a good night. That's going to be some must-see YouTube TV. I can't believe. I mean, like, I stopped caring. And now I'm mad again. That's how bad this move is. So now they word it here that Palpatine refutes that he was a clone. I don't know what that means, but it looks like he survived the fall, which is ridiculous. Star Destroyers are indeed equipped with Star Destroyer tech. I think we all knew that. The only thing we don't know here is the Lando connection. Here we go. We're going to go to the, okay. So Kylo finds Emperor Palpatine. He's not convinced initially, but then Palpatine talks him into it. Palpatine orders Kylo to bring Rey to him and turn her so that the dyad will not be that strong. So you find out that, Kylo and Rey are basically two parts of one thing, the dyad. General Hux and Pride are tasked with rounding up children in large numbers to train and staff this armada. Children. Palpatine claims that he seeks the dyad. Oh, it's a device, because he is weak and dying, and he wants the dyad to rule together once he's gone. So bringing the dyad together is Kylo and Rey. It's Reylo. Finn and Poe return to the Resistance base, bearing the knowledge obtained from their encounter with the First Order information. The duo brings the knowledge to General Leia and tell her what they know about Kylo's mission to the unknown regions, but without any leads to where they went or how he got there. The Resistance is dead end. Leia mentions that she has a contact who is seeking a link to the unknown regions long ago and may be willing to help. Leia dispatches the two of them along with Rey Chewbacca and the contact to see who that and Pisana to meet with her contact and see what they can do, what information they can provide. Pisana. When our heroes arrive on the planet, they discover that a giant festival is going on. That was the Burning Man. When they thought it would be an easy mission, has now turned into a much more complicated affair. They attempt to lay low and blend in. Unsurprisingly, Chewbacca struggles with blending in. The First Order discover Rey encounters an alien in the crowds that takes a liking to her, presenting her with handmade necklace as a gift. She is asked her name and she responds Rey. When asked her family name, she replies she does not have one. At this point, Kylo establishes a connection with Rey through their bond. Their conversation ends with Kylo grabbing the necklace from around Rey's neck. The necklace proves to be the key to where the First Order discovers their location. They find their location. They find Leia's contact. After having spotted an old Wookiee friend out of the crowd, it's Lando Calrissian pops up. Greetings and introductions are exchanged. Lando tells them of a dagger that, this is so J.J. Abrams, of a dagger that may help them find what they seek. Many years prior, Lando and Luke went in a search for this dagger, the J.J. MacGuffin, and was owned by a Sith loyalist named Ochi, spelling not confirmed. They tracked Ochi to Pisana, They tracked Ochi to Pasadena. That's what I want to say on this one. And the trail went cold when they met the question that never left the planet after they searched for Ochi and his dagger. Lando tells the team that he had a young child at this time, and Lando had a young child at this time of his and Luke's quest. He didn't have a child with Luke, but he had a child at this time while they were out searching for the dagger. Well, I guess Lando was doing something with his dagger. The First Order stole his child. After having failed to protect his child from the First Order, Lando and Luke parted ways, and he stayed on Pasaana ever since. He just gave up. Another bad father. This story strikes a chord with Finn, having been stolen from his own family at an incredibly young age. Lando points them in the direction and the last known conditions of Ochi's ship, wishes them luck, and that's it. Our heroes follow the trail that Lando pointed out to them, and eventually they happen upon Ochi's ship. When Rey sees the ship, it triggers her memories. It's the same ship that left her behind at Jakku. Before the implications of this can sink in, the ground beneath them gives out and the crew gets sucked below the surface of the sand. They find themselves in a series of underground tunnels where they discover the remains of the Orchi and the dagger that Lando and Luke sought after. Rey feels a very strong connection to this weapon, but can't quite articulate it. The dagger has writing on it in a language that nobody can identify. It's then handed over to 3PO, who identifies the writing as a Sith language, but reveals that he is unable to translate it. Does this sound like an Alien episode? An Alias episode. So Sydney Bristow gets a USB drive. She plugs in the USB drive, but she can't understand the language on it. So it's an ancient language that only one guy in Egypt knows. So she takes the USB drive and the computer to Egypt, where that guy reads it, but there's a code that's missing half the code. So they have to go to Hawaii to get the. So you see what I mean? It's a goddamn episode of Alias. So they're looking for the dagger. They find the dagger. It's got a language. They can't understand the language. 3PO reads the language, but it's half information that they're going to have to go find somebody else. And it's a big MacGuffin BS chase. And you're going to find out all your pertinent information at the end of the movie, which gives it zero impact. You don't have impact. So when Luke found out Vader was his father, we found out in the second movie. The way JJ would do it is we'd find out at the very end, and it would just be all gimmick. I'm out of here. M. Night Shyamalan is my bitch. You know, it's like, come on. I will link here, guys. If you guys want to read, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but, oh shit. I'm sorry, chat. I had that. There we go. I always do that. So this is the end of the first act. We're not, again, this is only the end of the first act. Once the crew exits the cave system, they see First Order destroyer in the sky, and they know that Kylo Ren has found them. Once they realize that the reason that the First Order would have already found the Falcon, making that plan of escape impossible, the Falcon is boarded and subsequently taken back to the Star Destroyer. In an act of desperation, the crew boards Ochi's ship and attempt to get it working. It's on this ship that the crew discovers that the new droid Dio, Rey senses that Kylo is coming after her. So she takes off on her own to confront him and buy her friends some time. This is where the TIE Interceptor flip sequence is in the first trailer. Chewbacca splits off from the crew, attempts to delay the Knights, but is captured. The dagger is taken from him, and he boards a First Order prisoner transport. Rey and Kylo both notice Chewie being taken captive and being brought into the transport ship before the confrontation. As the ship takes off, Rey shifts her attention from Kylo to capture her friend and begin the use of the Force. To stop the transport and pull it back to the ground, Kylo attempts to counteract by pushing, and Rey collapses, and that's kind of the Falcon goes away. There's no Lando, so Lando's in it very, very, very small time. So that's it. So they insinuate, I don't think they're going to actually do it, but they insinuate that Finn might be Lando's kid, or it's something like that. It would be more JJ to, be more like it than him actually his kid. They're going to run after a MacGuffin. I could see this happening. I could see this. But again, this could be all bullshit. Honestly, spoilers have never bothered me. I've read them forever, and they don't ruin my enjoyment of a film because, well, especially JJ is, unless you're just the thing is, JJ's all about the surprise. They even mentioned that in that article. That's why I read it prior to this. But yeah, as far as this film possibly being better than The Last Jedi, certainly. The Last Jedi was pretty bad. But I think it might be Force Awakens, this might be JJ not trying to copy any other Star Wars movies, which would be interesting, but he's just going to copy himself. And that's the thing is, it's okay to be self-referential, especially if you're like Spielberg and you're talented, but JJ does it because I think that's all he could do. But as far as reading this, I don't care. I don't care. I gave everybody a warning. I don't care. Disney can kiss my ass the way they've treated fans. And listen, I look at Disney as a whole. So when they buy Marvel Comics and they hire Zoe Quinn, that does it break me? No, but it really, it breaks whatever hope I had that they can turn things around. It really, that's an impasse. That is like, okay, maybe we're done here. So, cause I always held, forgive and forget. Sometimes I always held that I could probably go back if Disney is less filled with agenda. And, listen, there's going to be creatives who had a problem with me reading that. I don't give a shit. I warn people they can back out. Nobody's forced to hear me reading the spoilers. These are only one part of the spoiler, and it could not be true. It couldn't be true. And it's been up for quite a while now. So it's been up for, it went up today. And it's getting a lot of likes. And I went through this with Game of Thrones too. And the thing was, when I was reading, now I didn't read the Game of Thrones spoilers, but when I was reading them, I was aware of them. I couldn't believe they were real. And then they ended up being real. And quite frankly, there were other fake spoilers that were better than what we actually got. Bringing Palpatine back again is the worst thing you can do to Star Wars. It's a cheap ass, weak move when you have nothing left. And if they pull out, we did it for the fans. We were just trying to make the fans happy. No, you're not. You're trying to make as much money as possible. If you wanted to make the fans happy, you would have put Han, Luke, and Leia together in screen for fucking 2 minutes. You didn't want to make the fans happy. Yeah, how's Galaxy Edge working? How's it working? Let's get to the chat. Boom. Where'd it go now? There we go. All right. Thanks for hanging in there, everybody. I appreciate it. Yeah, the only other it's going to seem like an action-packed movie because that's the trick of Alias. I'm sure there's a lot of people in the chat who watched Alias. And the thing is, after you watched Alias for about a season and a half, because the first season is amazing. It's cool. It's very interesting how it's put together because an episode will end halfway through an episode. So you won't get a full episode of television. They do like an episode and a half, and they would start it halfway through the episode. But after a while, you see it's just a gimmick and they're not really going anywhere. It looks like they're really building to something, just like the early seasons of Lost. It looks like they're building to something profound. You know what I mean? Battlestar, whether you like the ending or not, it was profound. You might not have liked it, but they were hinting towards that. That's kind of, they ended it where I thought they were going to end it. And it was profound to me. Alias just, they got bored. They got bored. If they would have stuck with their concept and really put some work into it, it could have been something. But they did it with Lost. They did it with Alias. They did it with The Fringe, which was one of the better shows they put on. And we're seeing that here. So you're going to see a lot of action, a lot of moving, and we're going to pick up a MacGuffin, and we got to figure out what this says. And there's going to be a lot of chasing, and they're going to they're going to answer all your questions very quick. So yeah, do not get hung up on theories on this one, because they will be answered about as quickly as Rian Johnson answered them. That's how he's done it in the past. I'm just going off of what JJ's done in the past. So, yeah. Yep. Gary, look at how the Greeks drew people and carved statues, strong, masculine, and feminine, and not afraid to be proud of their bodies. Admiral Tiberius, you are correct. I got to see some of that when I was in Sicily. It was amazing. It was freaking amazing. And it was everywhere. That statues, ruins, everywhere. Not Greek. Well, some of them were Greek. There were some Greek ruins there. King Arcuus for $5. Is the Joker movie going to become a thing now, making a superhero movies that are more drama than super? By the way, heard that Scarlett Johansson hates she hates ScarJo. She might. You can't hate your nickname. Yes, they need this to succeed because they don't want to spend as much on superhero films. They have been complaining about that for a long time. Hollywood is cheap. This is where JJ is going to have a huge problem in the future. This is where where JJ is going to have a major problem with AT&T. JJ likes to spend money. Now, he's been at a couple places that aren't afraid to give it to him. Disney and Paramount. AT&T is going to be cheap on his ass. He's not going to be able to make a $300 million Justice League movie. Oh, no. AT&T and Warner Brothers have been going in the cheaper, lower production. That's why we're getting a Joker. The guy that they Me Too'd out of there, he was famous for bringing in movies under budget that made a lot of money. And then they paid for JJ, who's Mr. Bloated. And AT&T's just not going to do it. JJ's not going to be able to move on that one. So you might see JJ start working for other places. Technocratic concentration camp. What is up, my friend? Australian 449. Have you heard about the remake of The Princess Bride? I have. It's the dumbest idea ever. Current year Princess Bride. It's going to be a man. The bride will be a man, and they're just going to gender swap it. They're going to gender swap it. They'll be telling a story to a little girl, and it'll be a girl on an adventure to save the man. I'm not joking. That's what it's going to be about. I'm being dead serious. Unhinged Crank for $2. JJ stole himself. Haha, Ben Solo kills Han. JJ should watch his kid. We're going to find out. I have a feeling they're going to try to make Ben Swallow forgiven, because they're going to say, well, he just killed his father. It's just his father. It's not like he killed his mother. It was just his father. Loquacious Primate, $10. When I got around to watching the Chappelle special, I enjoyed and laughed, but was also surprised so much fuss was made about it. I hadn't realized how stuffy and restrained most comedy has become. That's a great point. It wasn't his edgiest episode. It was his most poignant, but it wasn't his edgiest episode by far. I have heard edgier. Actually, I mean, if you put it in relation to what Lenny Bruce did in the 60s, it was tame. It was tame. No, we've the SJWs, NPCs, PC culture are the new Puritans. I don't ever talk about the Handmaid's Tale. The Handmaid's Tale is SJW porn. It's feminist porn. I tried watching an episode. It's god awful. It's one of the worst things I've ever seen. It's like just a horrible view of the future. I don't know how anybody gets any enjoyment out of that. I think people watch it like they watch The Daily Show. That's just my guess. It's anger porn in the narrative. Red Cookster 71, 5 pounds. Awesome stream as always, Gary. Just seen Doomcock tweet. They are rebooting Battlestar Galactica, the 2004 version. Doomcock is apoplectic. So they're rebooting the 2004 version. They're rebooting the 2004 version. What? That's not what Sam Esmail said in his tweet. I thought they're going to do a different, I got to get to his tweet. Let me get there. Cause I mean, I won't even waste my time watching it. It's DOA. Horace Cock Johnson for $5. Hey, I'm a new subscriber and I was wondering, what is your favorite Starship class is? Mine is the Ambassador class, i.e. the Enterprise C. What's the original class again? I like, I forgot what class it was. Enterprise. Hang on. I got to check two things at once here. I'm brain farting this. God dang it. Constitution. No, not Constitution. Not is that the Constitution class? The original one? Yes. Constitution class. I like the OG, the one that's hanging over my head. Bless you. Somebody sneezed. I don't know if you heard that or not. Okay, Nan, hang on. Let me get the Sam Esmail's tweet here. Because I know he said we're not going to Battlestar Galactica. Okay, so it's not a remake. Oh, you know what? I get to his goddamn Twitter. And he's bitching about Trump. Fucking A. Dude. You know what? You know what turned me off on Sam Esmail? I was covering Mr. Robot, and it did really well on our channel at the time. It was very small, and I was getting thousands of views. A lot of people watching live. I will cover the final season. I went to the after show that was on USA, expecting him to talk about his TV show. They spent half the time talking about effing Trump. And I'm like, dude. So no, I don't want this guy touching fucking Battlestar Galactica because he's just going to make it a big Orange Man allegory now. I think he's incredibly talented. I love Mr. Robot. Mr. Robot season 1 is brilliant. Season 2 kind of sucks. Season 3 was much better. It was like return to form. But he started getting a little political, I think, and I didn't like what was it, Homeland or whatever on Amazon. I thought it was boring as shit, and it was filled with I mean, it was just boring. BSG fans, here I'm going to share this. But no, I don't want this guy fucking touching it right now. Right now, that's my view on it. There would have been a time I would have been very happy that this guy was on it, but now is not the time. You want to know why? Well, I'll show you. I'll frickin' show you. In a second. Okay. BSG fans, this will not be a remake of the amazing series by Ronald D. Moore launched because why mess with perfection? Instead, we'll explore. Okay. I need you to explain what the fuck this means, because I honestly don't know. Instead, we'll explore a new story within the mythology while staying true to the spirit of Battlestar. So say we all. Okay. A new story within the mythology of the 70s series, of the 2004 series, or something new. I think if you want to make a successful Battlestar Galactica Peacock network, you try to make it more like the 70s series. You don't get anywhere near the grounded Ronald Moore series. You put aliens in it. You know what? Guardians of the Galaxy. I want you to channel Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy is the most Star Wars, best sci-fi thing I've seen in years. Make it like that. Bring in aliens. bring, and try to redo what Glenn L. Larson did in the 70s. That was brilliant. The ships were awesome. It was more fun. Make it more fun. Ronald D. Moore's series was perfect. I loved it, but it wasn't like fun. I want them to make it fun, and you can. And I don't know what this fucking means. Instead, we'll explore a new story within the mythology while staying true to the spirit of Battlestar. So we're gonna fucking reboot it and do my own fucking thing. So I'm guessing we're gonna have 3 female leads. Adama's gonna be female, and all the white males will be bad. Yeah, fucking kiss my ass. I don't want any part of it. Quite frankly, that's how I feel. And it's not really based on that tweet. That tweet didn't bother me as much as just seeing this, the first thing on his fucking feed. Please try to remember that Trump doesn't represent liberal or conservative values. Please try to remember that neither does fucking Hollywood. Shut up and make movies, for fuck's sake. Yeah, so somebody who's been, I love what people think that I actually care about somebody who writes pretend for a living, thinks about policy. Yeah, no. Petition launch for DC Comics to print a style guide by Jose Luis Garcia. Dan Didio weighs in. What's the style guide? Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I got to show you that because this is this is what I grew up with. I mean, these days are long fucking gone, but that's what I'm talking about. Give me my primary 4 colors. Yep, and yep. Yep. Hell yes. Look at that. I love the style guide is great. That's great. Some of my favorite things from Marvel are the official handbook of the Marvel Universe and the turnarounds. I have the binders that those came in. So great. So sorry, I get sidetracked. Battlestar Galactica. I am now 100% against the reboot, and it falls under my no more reboots policy. Now, if Sam Esmail for some reason is not going to be himself and make it like a fun series that is opposite from what Moore did, try to again be more like the original because you're rebooting. But my guess is it's going to be a Sam Esmail project that has Battlestar Galactica on it, and it'll say nothing about it. And remember how pissed off the Battlestar fans were prior to Ronald Moore's series? But we found out we shouldn't have been pissed because they gave us a good series. Well, I hope you can draw back on that anger and pull it out of the closet and dust it off because it might be applicable to what Sam Esmail is going to do. And again, I wasn't impressed with his Homeland series. It's going to be a lot of really quiet, boring, stylistic looking rooms, is my guess. Okay, we need to talk about Doctor Who. But let me get to a couple super chats first. Because this is interesting. Some big news hit if you're a Doctor Who fan. But let me get to the super chats first. There we go. Sorry, folks. Excuse me. HX823, I liked it, but it was alternate reality, and that's why I liked it. It wasn't the original Battlestar. I would love to see them continue the original Battlestar. I love the original Battlestar, but what Ronald D. Moore did was an alternate universe, so that's why I was okay with it. It would have been nice, though, while some of those people, like freaking Dirk Benedict, I love Dirk Benedict, and we can't have all the members because they're all gone now. But I love the original, too. I love them both. I do. I have no problem with that. All right, let's get to some super chats here. Horace Cock Johnson. Thank you. So, yes, Constitution class. I am a fan of the OG. I'm not the biggest fan of the Next Generation Enterprise, but I love Next Generation. But I've never loved the ship. It's all right. I like it. Unhinged Crank for $2. JJ stole Phantom Menace theories for Han to survive. Maybe. Han's not going to survive though. He'll be a freaking Force ghost or something. Don't be shy. Let them fry, says Australian $5. First time super chatting. Thank you. And if this stream was 3 hours later, I could give more, but put this towards the next statue action figure and hail Snowflame. Hail Snowflame. Hail Snowflame. Thank you. And I appreciate it. Techno Babbler for $5. Is it diversity if a new black character is the son of the only previously existing black character? No, actually it's not. It must be a very small universe. That's funny. Techno Babbler. Unhinged Crank. Racist JJ again. First Finn is a janitor. His dad Lando abandons him, right? For $5 exactly. Nicholas Horton, £5. Heir to the Empire novel trilogy should have been the sequel trilogy. I'm going to read it. Yes, absolutely. Or Dark Empire. Zizzy's Vax for $2. 20 years to midnight of the Venture Brothers 20 years to midnight of the Venture Brothers in Star Wars 9? Maybe Venture Brothers. God, I saw S9. I want Venture Brothers season 9 so bad. Or is it 8? Sorry, season 8. Dan Vanoy for $2. Most likely BS. Nobody gets a full script anymore. But we didn't get the full script. We only got the first act. But you're right. But you know what? That didn't stop. Yeah. Because even the Game of Thrones spoilers were only from certain aspects of the set. So I agree with you. Pinion, Canadian, $10. December 16th, 2015, Cinema Blend interview. JJ, Leia chose not to train when there was other more important work to be done. That's right, Pinion. December 6, 2015, Cinema Blend interview with JJ. And this is true. Leia chose not to train when there was more important work to be done. How is she the one to train Rado? Did he kind of forget as well? Yes, maybe. Well, it certainly does look like she is there helping her train. It does. Dark Knight of Thrones for $2. Hail, Gary. Hail, comic book source material. Hail, for sure. Thank you for the $2. Lazaru 101, $2. The Toxic Brood will always love the Nerdrotic. Thank you. I appreciate that. We love the Toxic Brood. Bin with Bacon for $2. 2004 Battlestar sucked anyways. I disagree, but we can agree to disagree. JC Shaggy, $2. Make a series on Blood and Chrome. Blood and Chrome was, it was okay. It was okay. Southeastern Kaiju for $2. If Hollywood doesn't teach us politics, who will? Obviously nobody. Southeastern Kaiju, I didn't know racism was bad until I watched Doctor Who. Swear to God. It was the lessons learned through the space racist, the rando space racist who was racist because. But, he was willing to give up his booty for a vortex manipulator. Okay. All right, here we go. We're going to get to Doctor Who. Let me share this here. Window capture. There we go. Oh, wow. What happened? Oh, that's what happened. That's what happened. All right. So we got, to end this, we're going to read a couple of letters and we're going to get to, there we go. We all know the Radio Times is the PR firm of Doctor Who, but Christopher Eccleston turned down Doctor Who's 50th anniversary because he didn't do it justice to the 9th Doctor. Doctor Who Anniversary Special Day of the Doctor was a hit when it aired in 2013 13 when it featured a full-length special uniting multiple generations of Doctors, primarily Tennant and Matt Smith and John Hurt's incarnations, as they teamed up to save the world. Once, though, the episode could have been very different because, as most Who fans know, the showrunner Stephen Moffat originally wrote Hurt's character for X-series star Christopher Eccleston, who had played the Ninth Doctor in the revived 2005 series before departing in the final episode. Obviously, Eccleston declined the part, and now the actor has revealed his reasoning as for doing so, which wasn't necessarily due to any of the antipathy for Doctor Who itself, as many have assumed. When the Day of the Doctor came along, I did speak to them. I didn't feel what they were asking me to do did justice to the Ninth Doctor, so I said no. I totally disagree. Eccleston also revealed that he still felt hurt by his treatment upon leaving Doctor Who in 2009, having previously spoken at length about how he lost faith in the production during the filming and threatening legal action over the statement the BBC put out on his departure. They approached me about doing the Day of the Doctor. I like Stephen Moffat a lot. I considered it, but it had an enormous emotional impact on me, what happened with Doctor Who, and the series was going out. As the series was being celebrated, I was being vilified in the press in the UK because of the statement that the BBC issued. And it caused quite a depression for me a year later. While everybody was going, Doctor Who's great, and he's gone, because the BBC kind of smeared me and told some lies about me. Well, here's the deal. And this was written a couple days ago. He talks about why he actually left. And John Hurt's a far better actor than me, and that opened up a whole new dimension. So it was a positive thing, really. But Eccleston talks about why he really left. So Eccleston had anorexia or bulimia, one of the two. So he had an eating disorder. And in his biography, see, Eccleston has always hinted, he first said that he had major problems with the BBC, and he probably was, but he had an eating disorder. So while he was doing the show, and he had to bail. And that was what was really behind it. Everybody always thought something was up. So at first I just thought he was kind of a method actor. Method actors are kind of crazy. So and he still might be that, but I still think his performance as the Doctor was the single best performance. And you find out what the pain was, why he played such a great tortured Doctor, because he was actually going through that. He was going through his eating disorder. He didn't feel like he could talk about it, because he's a man. And, I guess he sought help for it, and he's on antidepressants, but it really wasn't the BBC. He was going through a lot of personal issues, and he had to bail out. But we did get a good performance, but we finally got the truth. And it's too bad he didn't join the 50th anniversary, because as much as I love John Hurt and the War Doctor, and we got some cool Big Finish adventures, I would have much rather seen the Ninth Doctor. I hope we get the Ninth Doctor back someday once we're past all this Jodie crap, if the franchise survives. We do have some other news that, hang on, I got to find this tweet by our buddy Joe. There he is. Bum, 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 bum. Here we go. This looks like an opinion piece. Oh, I'm going to have to do a video on this. I can't. Doctor, here, I'll show you guys. Give you a little preview. Sometimes just shit. Joe is awesome. Joe is given, there's a lot of articles I wouldn't have found because of Joe. So, he always changes his damn Joe. Stop changing your handle, man. I liked Just Plain Joe. There you go. It's Joe Donovan. I liked It's Just Plain Joe though. I thought that was good. It's hard to follow. Sometimes when I get messages like you didn't answer me. It's like, dude, I didn't know it was you. You changed your handle like 17 times since the last time we talked. If you're out there trying to brand yourself, a little YouTube unsolicited advice. If you're trying to brand yourself, start a channel. Don't change your name. I mean, like, find something, stick with it, make that your brand, and just repetitive. Continue putting out content. Find yourself a brand, like, the glasses or something you can, like, that's simple, that people can see from a distance, and just repetitive. It works. Doctor Who. Here's why the series needed the 13th Doctor, Jodie Whittaker. Jodie Whittaker's casting as the 13th Doctor caused a variety of reactions within the fan base. While many Whovians were excited for the change, many people on Twitter who liked male tears but don't actually watch the show were excited for the exchange. Some felt it was too much. However, supporters argue that the show needed a change like this one. No, not really. I disagree. Of course, every fan is entitled to their opinion, damn fucking straight, and reaction to the casting. Not every Doctor is going to be for everyone, and that's okay. The good thing about Doctor Who is that it changes every so often. So it already sounds apologetic. So if the 13th Doctor isn't your taste, wait a while, and perhaps the next Doctor will appeal to you. Well, I'll give you a preview because I'm going to make this a video. That's all well and good if you come out with a series every year, but you don't come out with a series every year. You come out with one every other year. So I'm going to have to wait 5 years. No, BBC, fuck you. I would rather not give you anything else. I will buy all of the stuff secondhand. I own pretty much every episode on DVD, so I don't need to pay for the BritBox anymore. I don't need to give you any money anymore because you filled my favorite show full of agenda. You divided the fan base, and I feel the exact same way about you as I feel about Disney. You did something that had not been done to fandom for decades. Fandom has always squabbled. We've never agreed. We're fandom, but everybody was always welcome. You are the assholes who came in and said, you know what? This group of people's no longer welcome. Fandom has always been the most welcoming place to gay, straight, transgender, black, white, purple, green. We don't care. We've never cared. If you're a Star Trek fan and you're a Doctor Who fan, you don't care about those things. There's no such thing as an alt-right Doctor Who fan or an alt-right Star Wars fan or an alt-right Star Trek fan. So you can take that logic and shove it firmly up your ass. There is only you who have excluded people for who they voted for. That's it. This is all over who they voted for, or even worse, I didn't vote for anybody. I voted for Howard the fucking Duck, and I don't care who you voted for, but now we're targets too. So again, kiss my ass, and I'm not going to wait 5 years. I'm done. You killed the franchise. You screwed it over. If you do something quick, maybe this year, I don't know, we're really approaching that September announcement. As a matter of fact, we're 2 weeks away from the big announcement. There's supposed to be some announcement on September 28th. I don't know. This is what I heard. I don't know if it's true or not. What's this announcement? A new Doctor, a third season, Jodie leaving, Chris Chibnall leaving. I don't know. What's up, Mary? But I'm going to do it. You can see I get a little worked up about that. A little worked up. It's sad to hear about Eccleston, though. It was. But the truth usually does come out. So I'm still confused about the Battlestar thing. If it's not a reboot, it's a continuation. It's a continuation. When the news broke that Mr. Robot creator Sam Esmail was working on a new version of Battlestar Galactica for NBC's upcoming streaming service Peacock, word spread around the world that it would be a reboot of the original series by Glenn A. Larson, but later remade by Ronald D. Moore. And although details of the upcoming show are scarce, most likely because it's only in the early stages of development, Esmail has taken to social media. I don't know what this... Okay, so there you have it. This iteration of Battlestar will tell the story within the narrative universe that Moore created. What? Okay. That's stupid. Yeah, I forget it. I don't care. It's off my radar. This is not something I'll even anger review. It's ghosted. It's ghosted. Henry K, thank you for the $1. Mark the Cyborg, Canadian $6.99. I already read. Okay, this jumped up on me. Dan Vanoy, it's more like Rey will train Leia. You know, you're right, Dan. That's probably what we got wrong. It's probably true. Just emailed you a fun Doctor Who image that says it all. Let's check the email if I can do it real quick. Yeah. Okay. So the reboot for Battlestar is a continuation of a story that definitively ended. Like, definitively ended. So I don't care. It's a big I don't care. And NBC, you're idiots. You're absolute idiots. Peacock Network. Oh my God. We might have found something CBS All Access might do better than. Here we go. Let's see what this image is. Hey, this is the first time I've seen her face. I got to make sure. Hang on. I got to show this picture, but I got to show it without showing the entire window. Hang on. Give me a sec. There we go. That says it all. It really does. Where do I see the Day of the Doctor, the Husbands of River Song, the complete 9th series? Terrible. This is a complete. Is that 9th series part 2? The complete 6th series, which I like. Series 7. I like the first part of it. Season 1 is genius. Twice Upon a Time sucks balls. It's terrible. Let's see. That's it. Is that right? Okay. Hey, that's the first time I've seen Jodie on the banner. Is this at like a Barnes and Noble? Usually they have Peter Capaldi. That's funny. That is funny. It does say it all. So says it all. So says it all. All right. God, we lost so many. Oh, I was going to say, wow, how did we lose that many viewers? But it was just the number was off. Okay. Here we go. Thank you, Daniel, for $2. Darth Gorebag for $8.88. I really want the Black Widow movie to be great. I do too. I want it to be the character, do the character justice, but my expectations are minimal. They've got an inexperienced pro-feminist director, so no, it's not going to be good. Black Widow is a movie that needs to be a hard R because her power set is not that interesting. Sorry. ScarJo's great, but it's a prequel. It doesn't move the story forward. It sounds boring. It sounds very uninteresting. Jake Batkin for $5. Please hold up a Pertwee or Tom Baker action figure so I can reflect on the good old days. Is there one that's close? There's one. Is there one that's close? Yeah, there's one that's close. Hang on a second. Hang on. Look at the drop down for a second. I mean, I don't mind you guys seeing my legs, but I don't want to hear. Is there one? I know there was a Tom Baker run. You making me pick a bunch off the wall. Oh, here's Tom. But yeah, I can't get a John Pertwee. It's like way up top. Sorry. But we'll get you a Tom Baker. There we go. You want a jelly, baby? I mean, I guess I could have taken the one that's on the wall right there. Dude, these are hard to get. That's a Big Chief Tom Baker right there. and they run for thousands. But this guy sold me one without a hat, and I got it for really cheap. And then I found a hat for like $1. It was great. Yes. So that is that. I'm sorry. I'll get you John per tweet next time. But Jack, I mean, go watch Robot, City of Death. It's something, That's our man right there. That is what. Can you see this guy and Jodie Whittaker's body? Hell no. Hell no. I have Doctor Who shit everywhere. I really do. And they lost me as a fan. If Hollywood doesn't teach, I've already read that one. So there we go. So we're caught up. And we're dipping viewers. So I think it's time to go. I'm going to go. Thank you. We had over 1,600 people the whole time. We were up to 2,000. That is brilliant for this show. Thank you all for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it. If you have not subscribed, please consider subscribing. I know a lot of you out there have not subscribed. If you like what I do, I don't bite. So when October rolls around, after New York Comic Con, I will have the live streams will be back to a regular time, 10:30 in the morning. We're going to have Monday. It's going to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for those. So the Nerdrotic Nooner come October will be the first 3 days of the week. And then, of course, I do the Exozone on Thursdays. And then we have Friday Night Tight. So I will be live streaming 5 days a week. But the Nerdrotic Nooner is going to be a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday thing from now on. From October, after I get back from New York Comic Con. It's going to be kind of intermittent. So look at nerdrotic.com for my live stream schedule. The next live stream will be tomorrow evening. The Exozone is being pushed to the evening because I have to do some stuff during the day. So pay attention to Twitter. It's going to be a huge Exozone because the Navy did come out and admit UFOs were real. I think that's kind of a big deal. There's a technicality in there, but they admitted it. Plus, there's other news that we're going to get into that's pretty big. Cool. If you're into the UFO stuff, if you're not, then it's cool. I understand. And who knows, I could go live at any time, any place. I will be working on a video right after this, and there will be many more videos this week. Thank you, everybody. We got past 125,000 subs. Actually, we're past 126,000 right now. So thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it. Oh, shoot. Well, I'll do it next time. Look for the Phantom Menace book by Stephen Walton Jr. on Indiegogo. Also, look for Disney Star Wars is Dumb by Ichibaka on Indiegogo. Those are two projects we're supporting. Modalicious for $2 sent you an email. What are the limiting why are they limiting revenue? Revenue about what? I'll have to look at the email, Modalicious, because I'm wrapping up the show. But I'll respond to that if it's about Doctor Who. I'm doing a Doctor Who video. That's next. HFG for $1.99. You've been updating and entertaining me all evening. Thanks, Gary. You're welcome, HFG. I'm glad I could help. There's actually more we could have talked about. There's so much more. I could have gone on for hours, but I can't. I'll save some for Friday night. We've got Friday Night Tights. We're gonna have a big show. We'll get some people back. We'll have some fun. So, do we make it to 1,000 likes? That's awesome. That's brilliant. All right, everybody, you have a good night. Be good to each other, and remember, not all who wander are lost.